What is up, everyone? We are back. Another year-end, been a little bit late, tier list discussion, and looking forward into the coming season and fall. I am joined today by Andy. He's back.
I'm back from college, everyone. Woo!
It's because it's Wednesday. Woo!
The return of the king.
And we are also joined by Ollie and Jason.
Hey.
Have been
Hello.
recent guests on our set reviews. Paru, unfortunately, couldn't make it. Kind of unfortunately cut him off. Unfortunate Paru. He had something come up and could not make it. But you will see Paru in more Paru's Custom Corner. Got another one of those in the chamber. Going to be going up next week. Look out for that. So let's just jump right into it, as we always do. That's released in 2022. It was, I believe, 12, 13 sets. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 sets. Yep. Of these 14 sets that released, there were quite a few that were not very impactful on the game, being like, unfortunately, Rent a Girlfriend, Fate Grand Order, what is it? Rascal Does Not Dream, Dreaming Girl, Saikano, unfortunately, Kobayashi.
So like half the releases almost.
Some would say Attack on Titan.
Some would say Attack on Titan from its recent performance, but
I
don't think that's completely accurate.
That's
I don't agree.
late.
But yeah, that
BD was 2022.
BD was January 2022. That came out. I can't remember if these exactly released at the same time, but 2-2 was definitely a 2022 card. So
wait, was it really?
Yeah. That was Springfest last year, right? Yeah, it is a fever game.
That was last summer.
Wow. But we got some real heavy hitters here. I mean, like Mushoku Tensei Hall Alive, Danmachi, Tokyo Revengers, Quince, obviously.
Yeah, all of these did really well.
And now Seven Deadly Sins making waves. Escanor stealing people's lives. 0.
Wait, was SDS 2022?
Yep,
Yeah.
right at the end, December.
It was
December,
Christmas.
yeah.
Oh,
Right at the end.
Wow.
So let's look
right?
at 2023. We have 16 sets already announced for 2023. A lot less of them are
Well, we don't know that, right?
DOA.
We don't actually know if these are 2020. We don't know if Spy Family or Guilty Gear 2023.
I guess technically we don't know.
We can make an assumption, but
It's really only Power Up Set and unfortunately Relive that are like completely not up to snuff. Obviously Power Up Set is like cards from 2016 and Relive is
collector's product, honestly.
Yeah, Relive is just unfortunately not up to snuff with the current meta. It's a little bit outdated. I mean, that set's what, 3 years old in Japanese? 3-4 years old?
Something like that, yeah.
It might be less, but it feels like it's that long.
It at least takes Revy from being like a complete shit deck to being like respectable, at least.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a respectable mid tier. Like once they get that, probably it's not like a top tier by any means, but it's
like,
a
deck you can go play at locals.
Yeah, it's not like a complete joke anymore. And in preparation for this video, I did do my research. I watched Clock Tower's video they put out today.
That's a pretty good primer.
Like their primer on like the
Springfest season
coming format too. But they said there would be a Haruhi player on every team.
That's
yeah.
Take.
That's a bold take.
I know they love Haruhi. I'm sorry, I don't know if I agree, but I appreciate their enthusiasm.
Bro, you can anti-climax people. It's so sick.
You can. There's no restriction on that card in English. You can play information binding.
Oh, see, I was thinking Catter's Maker. I forgot that card existed. You can play that card,
Mm-hmm.
and you have blue now, thanks to the power set.
Say, I think there will be a Haruhi that tops.
Topping Haruhi.
Puerto Rico?
Huh?
It is trios.
Could be Mexico. You don't know. Could be
anything
Hawaii.
is possible.
Hawaii. True, Hawaii is a lawless land.
Guilty Gear is super hype. We haven't had a chance to talk about that. That is a really
one day
English original. I'm down for Strive.
I'm ready to smell the game.
Yep. I can't believe there were doubters. Slime.
Bottom left is
Slime 3.
The new Slime.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, Slime 3. Definitely.
Yeah, they weren't believers, Carmen. They were not smelling the game.
Yeah, they
I was
saw.
smelling the game. The moment it clicked, I was a believer, full send believer.
Yeah,
It was Guilty Gear.
it's gonna be fun. Be cool. All
So
right.
we're gonna rank all these too, right? Like after we
Yes.
talk about those.
Yes,
Okay.
we will
Well,
be ranking.
All the ones that we can physically
Yeah,
talk
that have,
about,
like,
'cause we
cards,
obviously
yeah.
can't talk about Hololive or
Avatar. Yeah, but we will be rating things based on the cards that will exist. So speaking of that, this is our tier list from last year. This was pre-Bro, where after Bro, Kaguya was unceremoniously taken out back in Old Yellard after having no results, shot in the face and killed, much to everyone. Everyone being me, who max ready the deck. But the rest of it, that Dal got banned. That was out. The rest of it, I think, it was mostly pretty accurate. Obviously, Quinn's moved up after it got its booster.
Man, we really put slime in S tier.
Now, this was a different time, Ollie.
This
This
is
was a while back.
This
Yeah.
isn't our most recent one, right? We did the
No, this is
about half. We did the one with like the
Dal,
graph, the X and Y axis.
Yeah, that one wasn't a
Yeah.
real like tier list. It was more like a popularity plot. But
what to expect to see played, not
because that was
actually
also
good.
Springfest, where popularity is pretty important. We can touch on popularity. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna pull us over to. As you can see, I have preceded a lot of the older sets in here. If you want to hear our thoughts about why these sets are where they are, last year we did go over pretty much everything exhaustively, why these sets would be in the tiers that they are. We're not going to go over them again because we're just going to be saying exactly the same things as we were last year. So I will timestamp that on that video. You can stop here, go watch that, and pop back. I'll give like a break timestamp when pop back over.
Well, I think yeah, I agree for the most part, but I think we should probably touch on Haruhi Kill la Kill and Log Horizon. I think I know what everyone's going to say, but
there's nothing to touch on. These are PR packs that came out in like 2016.
Yeah, I don't think they moved.
They are actually 7 years old.
That's why I moved them to the top of this tier, because they got their extra boosters.
Okay, realistically, Haruhi is the most playable of the three. Like,
yeah,
above and beyond between the other two. But Kill la Kill is playable now. You can go to locals and maybe play it.
I could see this.
Not feel too bad.
I don't know. Don't get too hasty.
Yeah, maybe.
You could. I said not.
I could see that.
Bad,
right. I could see
I
D
think that's
tier.
fine.
Yeah, I think only because they
Like
have that.
Haruhi can like scum games.
I think that everything else.
I
think that everything else in that F tier is still better than all three of those. I think Batman Ninja is better than all three of those.
Okay, Haruhi has a niche though. Haruhi has a better niche than every other deck in that tier. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
Like I think having both Cat Ears Mikuru and Information Binding in the same deck, playable legally, is annoying enough that you'll randomly take games you shouldn't take.
I think that's fair. Yeah, it's like you actually have an angle to play towards.
Mm-hmm.
And with swing, you can get some amount of hand back, even if none of your cards do.
Oh, true. Wait, no. Oh, we got swing. That's
we got swing.
Yeah.
They got a brainstormer now. That's the sickest thing.
Brainstorms are broken.
And a plusing level 1 combo. Costless plusing level 1 combo.
But we're just gonna hop right into it. I'm just gonna get this one out of the way. Fucking bunny girl. Just put up here.
So actually,
it's probably still bottom of B tier, to be honest.
You think so?
I think it's
bottom.
Well, it's like Nodoka combo is still good.
That's D tier, man.
Yeah. Well, so Nodoka combo is still good, right? No, I said B tier, not D tier. B for boy. SPY still has Twilight of Innocence level 1 combo with the Mai. The combo is still really good. Will always be good. Right? It's like it's still one of the best like plusing level 1 combos you can have. And Nodoka top end still kills people. So that's like always a card I think you have to be aware of.
I think the rest of the deck is extremely middling though. That's the problem with it.
I mean, like you have OK zeros. You have like good early plays, I think. I don't think your early plays are like anything.
I think the zeros are like
about.
average, like at
they're fine.
2023 standards.
But like I think having a respectable top end and level 1 combo is more important, and that's more than you can say for every other deck below it. Right.
If I
Yeah,
ran
if the level one
into
combo's that good, that can
I
like
mean,
prop
I
up
was
the
saying,
deck.
I think both Furry is like a more relevant deck than Bunny Girl, to be
Well, Philly's
honest.
an anti-meta rogue deck, though. It's not like a deck that I would queue into like a blind format. You can, I think, especially for like trios, you could blind queue Bunny Girl, and you wouldn't feel bad about whatever you sat.
I'd be down to
And it's just like
afraid of the top here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Beaufrey is probably the best of those, but I do think SBY just has so many cards that are fine, and you could even, I like the memory deck. It's a pretty do-nothing deck, but it's comfy. Troy's top end is just, like, good. Shoko is fine. It has enough that it can do. It still feels like a more modern set than everything else there, and it is significantly more modern than everything there that isn't Kanokari, I guess. Right?
Well, this gives us a good like baseline. If this is the bottom of B,
Yeah.
we're just gonna
Maybe,
go.
maybe it's not the worst thing in B, but it's probably the worst thing in B. Okay, no, there's like one I think that's like worse.
We're just gonna go down the line. It's alphabetical. We're going down the line here. This will give us a very good bounding, because I don't think anyone's gonna argue with that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. Whether 8 standby still stays to play or people move on to 8 door, I think there's no question. Quince is like a top like 2 or 3 deck.
Yeah, the Quince post movie, which is what this is rating. That's why I got Itsuki here. I thought about like making like a split icon here, but I couldn't make it look good, so I just have Itsuki here because we are Itsuki biased on the channel.
I'm actually Nino biased, I think.
Nino biased.
Unrestricted.
Oh, if it's unrestricted, yeah.
The way it is, I think that deck fixes literally every problem 8 standby has.
Yeah, you get your hand. Yeah.
I think you could play either deck and feel.
No, you can play either deck, right?
Tournament. Yeah,
for sure, 100%. But I do think like 8 standby doing amazingly already, and it just gets better.
I think it actually just comes down to a playstyle
Reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a very different standby deck though, because it's more like offensively slanted. Yeah, like you're not really like beefing up on field the same way that.
That's exactly how the deck is. No, it's exactly how the deck is right now. It actually has the deck has physically not changed at all from how it was playing.
Mm-hmm.
It just got better at doing what it was doing because now it has a level 1 combo.
It got a card kind of like Sandy, where they get their hand back on their first turn.
It's actually the D-side standby combo.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a good like just having like a level 1 combo and a level 3 combo and just playing like the good stuff 8 standby game. I think is like definitely a really good thing. But my understanding of it is that the Quince deck's so good because like stuff gets like really juiced up on your own turn, and then you like run over whatever, and then just encore it.
Yeah, but that no. What I'm saying is that's how it's always been.
Yeah.
So like this deck, this new change doesn't change anything. It just makes it more of the same but better.
Yeah, you just get
you know
buffed.
I mean?
You're an already top deck, and you just get a buff.
Instead of slamming your 2/2 down and restanding it, you play your 2/2 like a generic standby card. You double field, tri-field your on-reverse salvage combo that also gets big and also checks triggers to push more standbys.
Oh wait, are we talking about like the new Quince stuff that we don't have yet?
Yes,
Yeah,
the new
okay,
stuff we don't have yet.
Well, there is. Go on.
No, I was just like, so the deck just becomes the same deck, but like better.
Well, there is something to be said though for like you're not slamming a 2-soul beater on your first level 1 turn.
You're triggering more.
You do, huh?
You're triggering more.
Yeah,
you are pushing more triggers, so you end up pushing the same or more damage on turn.
Yeah, the way it ends up from the very limited amount of time I played into, because they're checking triggers, they're pushing either additional standbys or soul triggers. So whereas before they would swing like 2-1-2 with like an open lane maybe if they got to 1 first or whatever, they're gonna swing like 2-2-2 across.
Yeah,
which is about as good.
Yeah, and then they probably put more cards on the board too, so their level 2 is actually even better. Or level 1 turns like even better because they might have like 2/2/2s to play towards now.
Yeah, they just like leave their back row more empty.
And then if they draw their standby again, they can, or if they have another standby, they can just hand encore their combo and just like do it again because you're probably killing their combo because their 1/1 is like pretty weak on defense, but it's like good on offense.
Is that card
It's like relatively. It's like pretty frustrating. Yeah. Pretty
That's so
frustrating.
dumb. They just all again.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even care if you beat over it. They just hand on court and kill you again, take another card.
Yeah.
Go infinite.
Very cool.
Vince Movie is a really cool set that is completely on par with the power level of other decks, right, guys? All right, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, we have stuff coming out though.
We do have stuff coming out. It'll give it a run for it, but for a while. All right, let's move on to AOT. AOT, I gotta say, is probably here, probably near the top of here, but it's probably there.
Like the middle.
Think so? You're down on it that hard now?
I like it's a good deck, but it's just like I don't know. The door choice list just doesn't feel like it does enough, and like the deck, the actual niche that it has isn't going to be particularly relevant, especially going into the next format.
Agreed.
I think it's B as well. I think
I don't think it's B. I think it's better than. I think it's like a
I have it in A right here.
That,
I don't know if it's high enough res on. It's like SAB here.
Okay, I just tabbed out. I thought you guys said you were putting it into B.
No,
I think it probably isn't B. To be honest, though, I think it's just a bit too fair. It's just not really. It doesn't really have an angle it's exploiting. I think like your big power card in AOT that really sets it apart from anything else is the Armin, like the Armin back row.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's just at least currently right now, that just does not seem relevant.
It only targets Hololive right now because Mushoku lost its tap. There's no other defensive counters around. So it's like Hololive, it's either targeting Hololive's tap counter or it's targeting Sora. So
it's also pretty backbreaking versus RWBY, but regardless, I just don't think it does enough. The level 1 combo is good but unimpressive, and the finisher, it's just too fair. We're in a format where you kind of have to just be like, the finishers at the top end are like really, really insane. Like when you're comparing it to stuff like anything that like Quince is doing, or like Escanor and Seven Deadly Sins, or just anything that's just the ridiculousness that Hololive does. So I think it's just too fair at the top. I think if you're playing AOT and want to actually like make your odds of winning the best as possible and give you a reason to play it, I think you'd unironically play the blue deck. Just because you do have that insane combo at the top then.
The problem with the 8 pants deck is that it loses the same thing that people are using to probably going to use to deal with SDS and I think even 8-door Quince, right? Isn't that end of attack? Or is that on attack?
No, it's on attack. Itsuki don't care about shit. He just has an experience requirement. Can't stop Itsuki. He's the one who should have had the train, the unstoppable train of love.
Oh, SDS and TRV, like people are, playing memory counters for those sets, so the 8 pants deck kind of like gets hit.
It's also hit by that, yeah.
Yeah, it hits.
So, but I'm not saying the 8 pants deck is like an A tier deck. I don't think. But what I'm saying is, I think it's like,
if you want to exploit the niche of the set, go for the highest ceiling that you can.
I mean, I do. Yeah. I've always been partial to the blue deck.
The only thing I don't like about the only thing I don't like about the blue deck is that you're full field condition at every level, and it hurts so much when the games don't go well. But I'm a core supporter. I've come around on door choice. Like, when you get the mid game and you don't just shit that you shouldn't, the deck does feel really comfy, but it just doesn't do a lot. It's too. Andy's right. Relevant. It's too fair, and as good as gear is, as good as that new gear is, denying reverses doesn't mean anything. Like it's just a plus for you.
Well,
at the moment, I think that can change going forward. I think right now AOT is probably like B, or in like not like a spot where you're like doing anything like broken. But as the meta like shifts, as more decks are printed and introduced to the meta, if getting reverses does start to matter again and gear becomes very relevant, or targeting at the top end becomes relevant, Armin becomes a really good like anti-meta card again, then it goes back up.
Yeah, that's what's always good about it. It's a good deck to have. Like, it's a good deck to own. because it could always randomly shoot up because it's good enough. I think we saw those results. I know that both Avis over at Weiss Tea Time and the Clock Tower guys just today when I watched their video were talking about how it had pretty middling performance even at Worlds. And I think that makes sense considering that it's not exploiting a niche anymore.
No, to be fair, if you actually go look at the AOT decks that went to Worlds, they all had a pretty similar idea, I think, of trying to play to hate the meta. Like if you look at Riaz and all them lists, they all
I know
tried to exploit the same niche and they got bodied for it. Because
they just didn't see the matchups.
Deck, I think it's not a deck I think you should be playing. I think it's funny to play towards hating things, but you can't guarantee. Weiss is a game where you're not able to guarantee that you're going to see these decks.
We'll talk about that when we get to Sword Art.
What was the niche that they were playing towards that you're talking about?
They were playing to out Hololive. They're playing to break boards, a lot of them. So it was playing outs to Hololive and to Quince. And they would just play against decks that weren't that, and they just got bodied
Riaz Splash Blue just for Cart Titan and the level 0 bomb and stuff like that.
And then he lost to things that were not either if they were Hololive, it wasn't Kana Tamarine, which is what he was expecting, and then he was trying to play against Quince, and he didn't get to play that either. So
he just hit the wrong matchups.
Yeah, because that's what's gonna happen when you choose to queue a rogue deck, right, or a hate deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, not quite fair towards AOT's performance in that regard, but it is what it is.
I think we can move on. Adventure Time gets in B.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
right.
Finn and Jay can always kill people, but I think getting there is a problem no matter how the deck is built.
Always has been.
Yeah, always has been. And I think
Demon Sword's still a feather.
Yeah, Demon Sword is a nice card. They can all play it too pretty easily the way they were all built. You can run a 1/1 split and shove it into any deck and reasonably have access to it because that the Bonder's a really good card. It ditch bonds to Demon Sword and then plus bonds to the finisher, so it's a card that's always live, even in a matchup where you don't need the card because it's out enough. As well as a plussing bond.
And you know what too? I think that's the thing. That if people are watching and thinking okay, what about Goblin Slayer, Konosuba, ReZero, all these decks below those and the mid tiers, what lets Adventure Time be a cut above that? And I think it's
Demon Sword.
It's the fact that it has that niche it can exploit, kind of Jason was talking about with Attack on Titan trying to hate on something or having Armin or Gear Adventure Time has that sort of card that can put it a cut above everything else while just being a traditional 2 combo.
It's you're playing for board, they're behind on board all game, and then they Demon Blood Sword you and Finn and Jake you in 2 lanes and you die.
Yep.
Just stuff like that.
Lose the game off that.
Yeah, having an impactful finisher also definitely helps that.
One of the most impactful finishers ever printed.
They have an impactful finisher and just a smooth game plan, smooth gameplay for the most part, but so do a lot of it the decks below it, but having Demon Sword is the extra thing you need to be playing that sort of fair deck and
yeah, it's a pretty base card. Big fan.
Yeah, Demon Blood Sword's hella meat.
Shoutouts to Jersey Dan.
Yeah, man. Okay, I forget which event it was, but one of the trios events, I think he played it and he was farming with it. It was insane. He just hit every standby deck imaginable. He's just I won again.
I'm a big fan of his list.
Oh, it was Toronto. That's what it was, I think. He just kept farming all the standby decks. It was so funny.
All right,
yeah, that's what I was advocating. Carmen called bad forever.
Oh, what? Standby, what is it? 6 standby, 2 choice?
Standby choice. No, just 4 standby, 4 choice.
4 standby, 4 choice.
Yeah, the list I gave Andy forever ago.
I that was the list that I started with, and I thought it was pretty decent, but everyone kept calling me a sack.
I don't like the level 1 strategy in that deck, cool. But I can't argue with it.
I would consider playing AT at Adventure Time in any tournament just because I'm comfortable with it and because I really, really like that standby choice list. That's still what I'd play.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Big fan.
I think it's just my personal preference. I think it's not my style. But yeah, Azure Lane. Azure Lane, Ollie, have you played this?
I know nothing about this one. Can you give me the...
Jason and I have played it.
Yeah, what's the TLDR?
Okay,
What are the combos?
So, 8. So Japan, if we look at only Japan, it is 8 standby, 8 standby, 8 standby, 8 standby, with a sprinkle of these like random 1k1 decks here and there. I don't know why they play 8 standby. I really don't like that deck. I think
I
that deck
also hate that
feels
deck.
really stinky.
It's not big enough. It's not big enough.
Yeah. We played like one game of Proseka versus that, and it was like I like fucking murdered him.
It was very telling. It's like Wrath is an incredible card. The other card that you aim to get out of 2, this 3/2 that heals.
Oh, that card.
That rune
Yeah.
that has a Neg-Soul effect.
That card's also insane.
A climaxless Neg-Soul effect. You have to play the standby to get Graph on the board. She stands herself and sacks the climax, and she gives power, right? Or no, she gives, I forget what she does exactly.
Which one?
The Graph. What does Graph do?
1500. She gives 1500 power, and then she stands herself and gives 500 power.
Okay.
And then it gives everybody on reverse top deck.
The issue there is you have no way in that deck to dig for triggers, and if you do not trigger an additional trigger on your Graph turn to put the rune on board, you have effectively lost the game, and your deck does not do anything. So that is my experience with 8 standby Azure. It's also pretty middling at 2 as well, or at 1, because their standby combo at 1, and the field swapper is like not very good.
I've only played against 8 standby at locals once, and it looked like the most do nothing deck ever.
That is accurate. That is
exactly
they did
accurate.
Play this
vanilla package that like they both said like 4,500 though, and that farmed me for a little bit. That was rough.
Wow.
Oh, you know that level 0 package is good actually. But yeah, I'm a fan of 8 bar personally. There's a level 0 Taiho. That's when you play it, you bounce it. It's a check 3, add 1 brainstorm, tap self, and then when you play the bar, you stalk a dude, bounce it to your hand, and then bounce her to your hand. So you play that with like a split. It's a 2/1 package and a 3/2 combo. The 2/1 is when you play the climax, if you have the other girl on the board, she's a 10k, and she has when you play the climax, salvage 1, stock 1 from waiting room. So it's like the Kanon from Superstar esque. But you play that, and then you play the 3/2 Shinano, which is the little picture on the Azure Lane thing that's on attack. Ditch 2, you mill the top 9 cards of your deck, burn 1 X time, where X is the number of climaxes. So the idea is that you just ramp a bunch of stock, you giga compress, and then so that way Shinano is like actually like an explosive finisher, and you abuse there's a 1/0 that's on play, pay 1, search the other girl. While they're both on the board, they're 7Ks, and one gets on attack buff 1K, and the other one has the like 1 turn like zombie encore. They're like actually like pretty good. They just sit there at 7K, so it just gives you a way to plus at like level 1 without having a combo. But
the other 8 bar deck is a more boring deck that does a very similar thing, which just plays the Shimakaze, which is 8k on attack, end of attack if the thing's reversed or there's nothing there, search, and then plays the same Shinano, and to stock charge they play 4 of this 1/0 that just when you have a climax and play on attack reveal top, if it's like a level 1 or higher, I believe it goes to stock, something like that, or maybe it's level 1 or lower.
When you play the bar, gains.
Yeah, it gains the Mel stock effect on attack. In reality, for Azure Lane, I don't really think it matters so long as you are playing 8 bar and you are playing Shino. I don't think it matters. It is like a spin your wheels, try to kill them, do nothing deck. It doesn't really do a lot. But there's a lot of weird stuff in it. I think that if you're like, it's not a bad deck to like bring to locals, play around, but I think like competitively there are far better thing. I don't think it does a lot there. Because
I'm a bit surprised to hear you say that. Because like, again, this is like the one set out of all of them here that I just don't know anything about. Pretty much, I played against the 8 bar deck once, I think, but I remember during like spoiler season, I was looking at a lot of these cards, and it's like, wow, like a lot of these effects are like really pushed, and it seemed like the individual card quality was like really high,
there's a big reason green is the only color anyone's playing that's not standby, and that's because it has the only functional early play in the entire set.
the set was like really cool if it got the colors. It did not get the colors. Like every color was not created equal in that set.
Yeah, green has
So-
everything. You're
Yeah,
also
you
like
get forced to play green. It's so frustrating.
you're really hard up for like weird profiles that you wouldn't be hard up for in other sets. Like a card going first is like so scuffed
It's
for
such
you
a big
that
ask.
you play this like spawn Ricky that can like grab itself back to like go again. That to like keep you going at level 0. That can pretty big, just because the
can't
card
play
is
True
on
Ricky.
death. Even though they got
so
like a pretty
frustrating.
good True Ricky, it's just like you don't have a card to go first, so you end up playing a card like that. There's a lot of weird stuff in the set where it just doesn't come together. But I think as a 1k1 deck that like spins its wheels and does a thing, I don't actually think this thing has a niche, because if you play the Taiho into Zuikaku deck, I think the Zuikaku deck with stuff like Alice and other big mid-game board decks, I don't think that
You're
board
just
does
another
enough.
one.
Like,
Yeah, you're just another one of those.
I think I'm gonna put it here after AT. Actually, I think it's pretty on the line.
I don't know. Like,
it's in here somewhere.
I would only feel inclined to put it higher just because I do just respect the sheer results that the 8 standby deck is pushing in Japan. Like it is clearly doing something, and maybe it is just something that did not click with us.
Maybe.
And like it is showing significant results, right? It is not just like some dude that just cues it at every event and succeeds. It is like people
It's
are constantly
continuously
bringing it,
doing
and they
well.
are consistently doing well. So like it might just have a niche. Like it might just be like actually better than me or Carmen think it is, and then we just had a lot of bad games with it, and we just don't look at it the right way. Rune is a cracked card. If you get to stay at 2, the Neg Soul from the back row, that card is just insane.
Rune's disgusting.
And you will win board. If you win the board once, you have won the board for the rest of the game. It is just getting that one board win. But so I don't know. Maybe it's good. I would probably put it in A, just because it has results, and like maybe I'll see more when people actually own the deck that aren't just like me and one other local. So
yeah, we'll have to see.
I just won't play it. I refuse to play it.
I'm down to put it on the line.
Too good to ignore.
I'm down to put it on the line.
Too good to ignore. That's it.
Yeah. We can always go back and like reorder everything after we get everything on the board too.
All right, Bang Dream, 8-door Bang Dream, the new Bang Dream deck.
Yeah.
About this deck.
It's fine.
It plays
it's a spin your wheels deck.
Plays a Yuki.
As Carmen likes to call it.
Yep. It plays a Yuki, and then you slam down this cost.
It's not Yuki, it's Amelia.
Okay, Amelia. Yeah, because it's on river. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Andy, it's a 7,500 on river. Like the Amelia bar level one from Memory Snow Snow from Frozen Bond.
Mm-hmm.
It's that card, but it's 75. So it's like actually power.
That's a bit better, so I like that.
You can also pitch anything. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Amelia can also ditch anything. It's the Tsubasa that could not ditch anything.
I thought Amelia was ditch green.
Amelia can ditch green, but
it's green. It's green card, but it's green card. Yeah. So like you could still ditch all the cards. Like you still ditch climax and everything, but sure, it was a little bit more restrictive. This is just generic. This card is so stupid compared to that. That was like a rare. This is not even a trial deck card. It's like a starter deck or whatever they call it.
Intro deck, I believe they call it.
Intro deck, yeah.
Yeah, there's an intro deck and a booster. The top end is either it's this Kasumi that's like a burn 2, and then it has an event stapled to it that it tries to dig into that like
with anti-damage.
Gives -3 soul.
It's anti-burn on it too.
And it has anti-burn.
It's like pay 2 or pay 2 drop 1. I don't remember. I think it's pay 2. Burn 2 gets anti-burn in the lane until the end of turn. And then you have a 3/0 event that gives that specific cost to me like neg 2 or 3 soul.
Or you play no top end and play like a
end of turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until the end of your
lane.
turn.
Oh, in opposer. Okay, I was like
in its lane
sounds
specifically.
Awesome to me. It's like everything you'd want the 7 Deadly Sins Meliodas to be, right? Like you get the on attack burn, and then you have like the damage prevention.
And you save a bunch of early plays and match your whole deck.
Is it all ban locked still, or is it like?
No, you play mono anniversary. Yeah.
Okay.
The only old.
You can't play
well, okay. I was gonna say you're gonna play in English. You can play Buns and Fumio in the same deck if you wanted to. You're on 8 door. You can get the
You can't play Fumio though. You can, but it is still awkward. And I think your cards are like. I feel like there was something in the deck that needed anniversary for board. I don't remember exactly. Maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering.
at the
but-
top. If something did need anniversary for board, that is a thing. But Buns is still a card.
Buns is a card.
Buns is definitely a card, and I think that's the niche. And with that, I think it can go in
It's probably
A.
A.
Yeah, I think it can go in A.
It's gonna be lower A, I think, though, just because like I mean the 8 choice is like a fine deck. It's fun.
Yep.
And like the 8 door deck is cool if you like EP spam. It kind of do what door choice AOT does, but better. But it has a worse it has like a worse top end, and I think its early plays aren't as good. I think AOT has like I think the Aaron that 1/3/2 Aaron early play is just like that good.
Yeah,
But-
there's also 8 choice in that set, but I think that deck is gonna have a rough time with the Alice meta that is closely approaching. So you'd probably opt for
Yeah.
8 door instead.
You will
Something
have
a
to,
little-
which means-
Something.
Okay, wait. To be fair, that deck's also unplayable if you play into Alice.
Mm,
What is your 7/5 combo?
I
do
hit one
versus-
first.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
you can
your
do
out.
for 8 choice, right? That's
Yep.
the same out.
Hit one first.
So I mean, they have probably the same relative matchup versus that deck.
Alice.
But
All right, new data live. I still have Kermie on the slide because people were still playing standby more than they were playing the new funny haha 8-win deck. I'm gonna briefly talk about the haha 8-win deck. We talked about it before. It is a haha funny deck that you will be able to buy for like $30 or $40. Spam out these early plays at level 2. You bleed your entire hand. You'll never have hand again after this card's hit the board. And if you do not hit 2 wins to spin your opponent's back row to the top of your opponent's deck on that turn, you have lost the game. Which is why people went back to playing standby. This is going to be the Niji 8 standby of EN. They have the same card, the 1/0 back row that gives 2k whenever they trigger a soul trigger. They have a 2/2 that twin drives. They have a lot of broken standby support data live cards still in the set, but they can only play 2 Kermies. That
in
means
Japan.
in English.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they did bring that to English. Yeah.
That being
came
said,
over with the Kage hit.
I think being the 8 standby deck that could resolve 2 Kermies and will break down every board in front of it every single time is still pretty good. I don't know if it's A or B tier. Does anybody have a thought? I don't know exactly where I want to put it.
It's either top of B or bottom of A, I think.
That sounds like A to me.
Yeah, I'd put it in A. I think that Kermie's nuts. But the fact that you don't have 4 means that you won't be resolving Kermie early anymore very often, I don't think. Or at least in my experience against the deck where Brandon plays it on loop. He doesn't resolve Kermie very often at 2 anymore.
It's fine. You get like double. You get double it on your kill turn, and then you just have an off finisher in the other lane, and then you're just playing with ridiculously busted cards the rest of the game.
I think at 2 copies, it's really easy to lose like 1 or even both of them in stock, especially since you're twin driving so much.
Or to
Your
clock. Where they're
Kurumi's
just
in like
on.
if your Kurumi's like in in the wrong spot in your deck, you can just lose it forever. Because what are you gonna do? Not twin drive, so you can pay it out.
Yeah, you
True.
have to twin drive in that deck because you have to push triggers so your cards win lane. Because the 2/2's a 9/5, it's the same as
Yep,
Nijigasaki.
Same as I.
I can't believe they reprinted that fucking back row card again.
Yeah, the
You
one
wanna
zero
take it
I.
back-
Lucky back row
Hammer
card.
and
That's a
Burns Red
fucking
too?
mistake. Does it have a soul too?
Yes, the same
That's fucking
card.
stupid. That's
It's-
ridiculous, man.
It's the same fucking card.
Yeah,
I hate
have it
that
in
card too.
They have it in Heaven Burns Red too.
They
But
would
it's
give it to
it's
Data Live.
15. It's 15 and a level instead of 2K.
Oh
So it's a little
no,
worse.
a little worse.
It's worse because you can anything that card now when you buff it.
All right, Danmachi. I don't think this deck is very
Probably.
well positioned anymore.
I think it's still like a
Board-based
deck that can-
decks.
I like
still a deck that
Danmachi a
can, like,
lot.
hyper compress.
I like Danmachi a lot. It's like a super good compression deck. You have the 1/0 bell combo just getting so big means that like 8 standby is never not going to be a thing going forward. So like having that as a tool to combat that is like super nice.
It can
and then the
challenge
finisher is
Alice's
just-
Right
too.
now, though.
It can challenge Alice's too.
No, it can't. No, it
Oh
can't.
wait, no, because it's 11-5.
It's so fucking bullshit if it challenges Alice. Like,
They'd have to.
Alice is 11. You have to have 4 Firebolt in your grave. And then you have to have Pyonkichis to contest the.
Just
Oh no, Bell's 11-5.
Yeah, you're right.
Bell can be with 4 Pyonkichis. Bell can be 11-5. You need Pyonkichi to actually beat an Alice.
You need to have a lot go
So,
right to
It's
challenge
like
them. I guess
it's not
you're
even
right.
real.
That,
Like,
that's
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
That's one matchup though. That's like
that's
a
like-
single matchup.
So that's potentially like the current boogeyman of the format, though, Andy. That's like the current deck in JP that everybody is spamming. Granted, it is a little bit worse in English. It is. I've been playing it, and Ollie's been playing it a little bit too now.
I've played the English
You can
version as well.
tell. You can tell the power gap is there, but like not enough to not still be stupid. Like the Alice is actually a card that when you sit against it, Andy, you're just gonna sit there and be like, "Why is this?" Like, have you played Pachin Dual Laners? Have you got to play against that at all?
Yeah, I know about that deck.
Yeah, so it's that deck, right? But
Yeah.
instead of 16k walls, you get 11k plus in combos that go stock 1, salvage 1. So they refund all the stock you used to put the dude on board, and then select you for cards to protect it.
And then does it again the next turn.
Like
Which Alice deck is it? Like, what's the combos on it?
it is no level 1 combo, right? You go empty level 1 because Alice is your level 1. You play the 2/1 Alice from the new Annie set coming out, the anime Annie. She is 2/1, 500 for each other, 6k base. When you play the choice, you salvage 1 stock 1 from grave, and there's a 1/0 Alice that is global 5, and says pay 1, brainstorm 3. If you hit the 2/1 Alice, play the 2/1 Alice.
Okay, so it's kind
And
of
it
like
shuffles
the
back.
Pachin combo.
And
It
it's like,
shuffles
and it's
back too.
unplay shuffle 2 dudes if make something 1k power.
Okay, so it's just a like really obnoxious board deck.
Yes, but it is a highly consistent board deck because that deck has the tools to legitimately on like turn 2, turn 3, rip through 30 cards.
Yeah, it has a disgusting amount of costless. We can talk about
Because
it when we get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But yeah, it's like all of these board cracking decks have to be a bit more wary because of that if they can't contest that, which Danmachi it can do, and I would still say it does it better than anything else that can do it, but it's still not good at it.
Yeah, I mean, at the worst, you still, if you hit 2, you still have the IZP that can
Yeah, I think
contest
it's-
Alice. I think it's like either before or after Bang Dream, probably.
Oh, I think I'd rather play Dal than play.
I was gonna
Danmachi,
put it
If I wanted
top
to play
of
a
B.
board breaking deck, I'd put it before Azure Lane for now. I think
You
that
think?
deck is still good.
It's still
but,
a
like,
solid
sorry,
deck.
like after Azure Lane. Sorry. I think it's like worse than Azure Lane.
It's definitely
it's
less of
like-
a threat because the Hestia. If you sit
Hestia's
across from
fucking
another,
sucks.
if you sit across from another 1k1 deck, this deck is fucking miserable to play, and there are just more and more good 1k1 decks now.
Look, dude,
Yeah.
I've killed people from 2/4 with triple Hestia.
Yeah, and
Yes,
I
great
I
story,
bet you've
dude.
also failed to kill people from 3/5.
No, never
So-
happens.
Hestia
Never
combo's
happened.
nice and efficient though. That's what I
Oh
like
my
about it.
That's
Yeah,
all
it's
it is.
alive.
That's all it is,
It's
though.
cheap, but like you
It-
you don't kill people.
it's
like
still-
you invest so much. You
Okay,
don't.
I mean, it's still a deck that can like hyper compress as well. Like
That is
Bells-
what it does.
if Bells
very,
can
very
offensively win,
skins.
right? That is I think that is always the preface. Is Bells have to offensively win. If they don't, then there's a problem. Right.
Do you think
So
we
if you
could
play
talk
against
about
anything that makes a bigger board?
Do you think we could talk about Sao next? Actually, Alice, because if that's sounding like it's gonna be
Sure,
like
sure.
one of
We
like the
can,
big
sure.
boogeyman decks, just like
Move
put
it up.
everything else in perspective.
All right.
Just put it in.
Just put it up there.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's an S tier.
Do you have any
Um,
questions about this deck, Andy? Let's go with you because you are
Well,
the
yeah, when I
uninformed one
said
about
let's
this
talk
deck.
about this one, I was hoping you'd say more than just yeah, put it in S next.
No.
next deck.
No. I said put it in S. Andy, what do you have any questions about this deck? Since you are the uninformed, we can pretend you're the uninformed viewer.
Yeah,
on
let's
the deck.
pretend for a second here.
Well, we're not really pretending. You are, but you're here with us.
Yeah.
All right.
So, like,
what are your questions about
What's so good about it other than like that
I will
shitting
pull
out
up.
like a bunch of early
I
things?
will
And is
pull
there
up a
really no
sample.
counterplay to it?
I will pull
No,
up a sample deck
it-
that we can look.
so its counterplay, like unironically, part of its counterplay is shoving it, right? Because it doesn't compress very well in its second deck because it is burning through its deck. It's refreshing on like you're refreshing on like 5-hand, 5 to 6 stock. Which I mean, actually that's a pretty decent stock, but your hand is like probably on the lower end, maybe like 4 even.
Probably have like 4. Yeah.
Empty, probably either. Okay, depending on the game, you have either an empty clock or a full clock, so it could be better. But like you are susceptible to just taking damage. You are not like infallible to damage. You don't really have defensive counters outside of anti-change. Or if you play you can play Leaf-a Punch, I guess, if you really want to, but nobody really does.
I guess my question is like it makes a obnoxious big board, but like who cares? Like decks have been doing that for a long. 8 standbys existed forever, and people.
Okay, it's because but you know how every time the Mushoku player slams a standby, they get their hand back?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the Alice hits the board. They slam the standby. They get their resources back. Not only their hand, but also their stock. Or not standby, the choice, you're right. They get their stock and their hand back. And then every turn that they resolve the choice again, and the card sticks, and the card will most likely stick, especially if you cancel and stay at 1. If your opponent cancels stays at 1, then they play the choice again, because the deck is designed for you to be able to easily combo.
And you have probably salvaged an extra Alice. So you didn't hit 3, you can fill the third one if they don't answer any, or you go back to 2. So you're basically you're usually always keeping 1, right?
It's because the card like Pachin not only puts a card out on board early that shouldn't be there, it's harder to answer than a traditional early play at the time it comes out. It's that it continues to be able to hold board because its power line is contesting early plays into level 2. So your opponent does nothing but generate free resources as long as this card is on board. And there are finishers like Argo where, because this card selectively thins cards from your grave in your next decks and has a lot of deck speed, like Argo's a Musashi, right? A Musashi with a burn 3 on attack.
Yeah, it's
very simple card.
Burn 3 with Musashi. Kind of like the Grisaya one, Andy.
There are many games, Andy, where the only level 0s left in my deck are climax swaps and like 2 Ricos, and every other 0 is gone. Like,
how do they get gone?
Alice sends them to stock.
Oh, okay.
So it removes them from your next deck. So you get Musashi turns that are like, okay,
2,
on
3,
attack, ditch
4.
2, burn 3, eat the 3, swing for 4, cancel the 4, burn like 2, burn 3, next one, like swing 3. And because you like roll in resources all game because your board doesn't die, you can like reasonably do ridiculous stuff at the top. Like they also play the Kirito that has both offensive and defensive things it can do to like draw out the game. Usually it's choice or pants, sometimes door.
In Japan, it's the JP Annie, from the JP set 1 Annie top, and the Kirisuna. That's the one they play the most because it's like a good healer. When you're compressing that much, that card becomes like an insane top end. When you compress the way Alice can compress.
You've played against Win Standby Summer Pockets before, right, Andy?
Yeah.
The Alice functions similarly to the Shiroha.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of Shiroha. She's bigger than Shiroha though, and she's bigger than Shiroha, comes out more consistently than Shiroha in multiples, without making the person struggle for it. And she is just a better. She doesn't have to reverse, so she always combos, right? Shiroha had to reverse, and then you only got like 1 turn of it because they never beat you again.
I think another thing with Alice.
Wouldn't this just lose really hard to 8 standby though? Like if your Alice's can't win board.
No, because if you go to 1 first, you hit 1, right? You put down triple like 10, 5, 11k bodies, and you salvage counters. And now the standby deck cannot contest you on offense.
The counters are another big reason. I have them all in this deck actually, which is something that Argo lets you do because it gives you a little bit more space. You have a 1/1 memory kick. You have you can only salvage. Well, you can salvage anything actually. You can even take old counters. You can take the Dicey Gilbert for the anti-change, which is really important for this deck. So if your opponent plays like big early play, like and they're actually trying to beat over, get rid of it. You have a 1/1 2K memory kick counter. You have a 1/1 3K counter that bottom decks itself as a drawback. Big whoop there. So you have really annoying counters that this card immediately picks up to keep itself on board and go again the next turn. So it's just like a pretty crazy accelerated game state. And the way that you get there every game on turn 2 or 3, like Jason's saying, is like you have an on-play event Rize, you have Chiuri, you have this admin, which was insane, which sends itself to clock to check 3 and add a level 1 or higher card. And you play 4 of this event that mills 4 and salvages a level extra lower based on the soul triggers you mill. You only have to hit 1 soul trigger to get your 1/0 Alice back, to shuffle back the 2 ones to then spawn them to board.
And both of your mill cards grab it, and then you just go and go and go. You go 4 cards, 4 cards, 4 cards.
The Rico also being a hand to stock as well is
randomly
lets you do
hand.
Randomly go crazy and do things you should never be able to do.
Yeah. Did you mention that admin doesn't let you get 0 locked either?
Yeah, admin doesn't let you get 0 locked.
While also moving through your whole deck?
Exactly.
Okay, so I guess my final follow-up question there is, if this deck is all that, right? If it's like an S tier deck, what beats this sort of strategy? What needs to exist to beat this deck?
Playing
Adachi's and level 2 killers.
Adachi's and level 2 killers, yeah.
Well, Adachis are super neg. Adachis are always feel super neg against Alice, especially if Alice.
If they're playing for free off well, I guess it depends where the Adachi sends it, but I mean, if it's playing off of the brainstorm, if you send it to bottom of deck, that could be awkward.
I think the better reasoning here is more that it is 50-50 whether or not Alice is leaving your opponent in a range to be Adachi'd, because sometimes Alice, you're slamming Alice's at 1-0, 1-2. Sometimes you're slamming Alice's at 1-4, and then you're refreshing to 1-5. So you're not really in a safe Adachi range where somebody can go, I can slam this Adachi and guarantee kill you, because they might have to give up their level 1 combo to make sure they don't push the damage to kill your card. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think Adachis are the perfect answer either, because your opponent's still getting their value up to that point.
Funnily enough, Kaguya is probably the one that has the best answer, because it has a deck that can actually just slam level 2 killers en masse.
I think Quince also does pretty well.
That brings up a good point.
So level 2 killers the out.
I'm gonna bring up the tier list again.
They're a pretty decent out. But the problem is, not many decks have access to good level 2 killers right now. It's AOT has a pretty okay one, but it's only 11-5. It's actually not big enough to threaten before without counter. You force them to counter though, which I think is usually always good enough. If you're forcing them to counter, it is better than them just going free, right? If you're gonna lose board anyway, might as well make them counter. Teaming with Shirogane is also, I don't think is I think he's 12-5.
Yeah, he's he has experience.
Yeah, it's experience 2, right?
Experience 1 gets 2,500, so he's a 12-5 on his own.
Yeah. So he's a 12-5, where AOT's is an 11-5. AOT's is in a better color though, for the sake of the 1K1 deck, whereas you have to play a more off deck for Kaguya that we'll talk about, that I like a lot.
Yeah, the level 0
really
deck.
Facilitate it. Yeah. So not many other decks. I mean, Dal can do something because it's Niji, potentially, because it has that gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it can beat over the board.
But even then, it's not always pushing in every lane either. It's very awkward, right?
It also will rarely have a 2/2 to front row on the turn that Alice is hitting the board. And
yeah, so Dal relies on. Granted, Dal can reasonably hit 1 first, compared to Sao though, which is something true, because they have the costless. They have a costless, Ricky-esque plus, clock plus.
Yeah, the on reverse,
the
costless Ricky.
But just looking at our current top tier here, if that's the meta, then very clearly just play level 2 killers that hits both those decks.
Well,
the meta adapts, and then
level 2 killers don't matter versus Quince. That's irrelevant versus Quince, because Quince's 2/2 is only 7k, 8k, or 7k, because you don't even play that standby, so it's only ever 7k on defense. So
okay, well, whatever. It's still good against them.
It's fine, right? It becomes the issue. Go ahead, Ollie.
I was probably saying you were gonna say the problem
Yeah.
becomes is you're shoving these level 2 killers.
Yeah.
You're shoving all this targeted hate to deal with one deck that you ruin your matchups against other decks in the meta, and then you get into the same
level
problem
2 killers.
you're talking about with AOT at Worlds.
Level 2 killers, the profile, because they need to hit so much power to be competitive, they aren't printed with additional abilities that make them a card that flexes, that you're comfortable playing in high counts, unless your deck can afford to play just 4 1/0 cards that attack, which only really that Kaguya deck can do because its combos a level 0.
Yeah.
So like,
it's really awkward.
if you tech your deck to beat Alice, you're worse against every other 1k1 deck in the room, and you're not even good against the best standby deck because they don't give a shit. If their 2/2 gets run over, they expect it to be.
Yeah, like in JP, right? Like JP, the meta is Sao Overlord, this Azure Lane deck, like the 8 standby Azure Lane. I don't even know how that deck like functions against Overlord.
I don't know either.
That's a good real question. How that functions versus Overlord Sao, because like the 2/2 isn't big enough to contest Sao. The Ainz just blows up Azure Lane. So like it blows up their board. Thank God that's not it. We don't have to talk about that deck. I don't even want to.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that deck either. That is I am the monkey with the eyes, with the hands over eyes,
Yeah,
until that card comes to English.
But yeah,
it's coming. It's coming.
Eventually, probably, yeah. But I don't want to think about it now.
In like 3 years.
But like, AT can do Demon Bloodsword, right? But even then, that's like a neg. Because Alice came down for basically free, and God forbid you got stuck at 1 for a turn, so they got 2 turns of Alice. Then Demon Bloodsword doesn't even like feel good, but it's like.
I mean, they already got their value at that point too.
Yeah,
like, I think those sort of like, you have your turn, and those sort of reactive answers, like I'm gonna untap and do something. I don't think that's what you need. I think you need something more proactive that's like I'm going to contest you here and now.
Quince probably has the best answer, but it's at level 2. Well, 8 standby can reasonably contest Alice's, which is, a big niche.
Nino can run them over.
They hit the early standbys, they slam double 2/2, and they go, on your turn, I'm going to fucking kill your cards. Or I'm going to, like, pressure the hell out of your cards, especially post-movie. But the 8 door deck has a 2/1 green, insane card, by the way. It's like a 2/1 green, experience 5, a 12/5 with on reverse of the character clock kick it, and it's on play, pay 1, drop 1, search a door. So it attacks at basically 13/5 if you search the door when you just played the card down. So you can go like play that card, play a level 1 combo, slam a door, buff 1 with the onstage silica back row, so it goes to like 15/5. Then you have the brainstorm, that's offensive 5, so you get to push the 1 to 14k. So you are forcing over Alice even through memory kick counter with double back row. So you can reasonably like kill 2. But then the problem ends up becoming, I've killed 2. If they have 3, fuck. I also have to be level 2. But it's an out. It is probably the best out at level 2 because you don't concede board to do it either.
Yeah, Itsuki yet again having a way to
just
completely ignore.
Deck, though,
coming up to the other best deck has a way to ignore what an opponent does.
When Carmen was testing it, that was the only thing that felt good.
Yeah, I was like, this is stupid.
2 of those, and I'm like, oh.
And they play that as a 2 of, so Jason's forced to sculpt double 2/1. Which,
but
like,
you're playing 8 door with an on-reverse salvage. It's like, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, but whatever. It's still like, I don't know. 2 best decks in the room.
Rulers and spellbooks.
Yeah, it's you have the out, but to play the out, you have to play the other.
These are like, deck, I don't want to put one over the other. I'm gonna put Quince in front because it has 2 decks in it. Alice has 1.
I thought you were gonna alphabetical sort.
Alphabetical works.
Numbers.
That's fine.
Is there any other decks that we think are like top tier to like be able to
SDS?
I would argue SDS, yes. And I would also argue Slime.
Maybe.
Slime was set 3.
So the problem with Slime is just worse than Alice.
It could be just recency bias, but every time I look at that deck, it just looks
No,
so
that deck is
fucking
good.
disgusting.
That deck is good, but it is actually just worse than Alice at like all points. That deck is going to become a giant problem in Japanese though once Alice gets hit. That I am confident
The
of.
next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't play any.
But-
Does it play the 2-1 doesn't come down early, does it? Is
No,
it
it does
No.
not.
No. Just
So Alice will get to farm slime at level 1. And then now Muron has to contest into
But like
Alice's.
at level 2, there might not be a deck better than
They're not big
Slime.
enough. They're not big enough. They don't contest Alice through counter. Even like
yeah, they don't.
even with double back row plus
Oh, I'm talking about like
Climax.
if Slime hits 2 first. Well, I guess, no,
what,
I
does,
guess like
what does that matter? Yeah.
Yeah, they're already on the
Yeah.
board.
They're already on the board, they established counter because Slime
Okay.
isn't contesting you at any other point.
What build of
Besides
slime is
besides
this?
Alice, I would say
It's the new 8 pants deck.
there's
So
no
we
deck
can talk
better
about
at
that
level
next,
2
I
than
guess.
Slime.
So Slime with the new set, right?
Mhm.
Current set perfectly fine. You know, Clinton did really well with it. He's the book pants king, pants book, whatever. The new deck is 8 pants that they're playing in Japanese. It is very much just the same pants door deck you were playing before, right? But
Yeah, I have a list pulled up here. They have like a level 2 pants combo.
yeah, so you scrap the door, you slam 4 pants. The level 2 pants combo, similar to the Zuikaku that we mentioned in Azure Lane, and similar to Alice. It is a 2-1 when you play the climax. Stock one from Waiting Room, but this one is search one. And it is also randomly, they decided to make it 10-5 base instead of all the other ones that are 10, or 10-5 with the effect. But its effect is only 2 or more dudes, where all the other ones are 500 for each other. So it is just actively better power-wise than every other version of itself
Yeah.
that has been printed. On a pants, so it is a recurable climax, where like all the other ones aren't. Suikaku's on a bar, I guess. That's fine. But so you have this card, and then you also have a back row, right? You got a new brainstorm and a 2-1. The brainstorm is a search brainstorm, and it is while
Is
you
your
have
other
the
2-1 Sheena's 1,000 power?
no gives all your dudes 1,000 power if you have the 2-1, and the 2-1 says if you have the brainstorm, it gives global 1k. It always gives global 1k, I think, but then it gives hexproof to all your dudes.
Yeah.
So global hexproof. So it's like
If you have
Armin.
both out, your board is basically global 2K and hexproof.
Yeah. So it's basically just super Armin for 2 back row spots, but you get to have a brainstorm.
What's the other card that does that? The 2-1.
It's a
oh, I
2-1
see it.
for
I see it.
2-1.
Shuna.
2-1 Shuna. I see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the Muron brainstorm.
I don't know. That doesn't seem S to me. Because
So-
unlike Sword Art that has like you have this
No,
really
it's
good
probably not
mid
S
game
yet.
into that,
Right.
you don't really have like a finisher combo. Like at least
think-
the pants door deck had that door combo they could like lean into.
Well, you have
It is-
finishers in 8 pants.
No, you get a new one, Andy. You get them on attack if you have the experience condition, I think is like all like the 3 different colors and level. It's like yellow, blue,
The
red.
Benimaru, right?
Yeah, the Benimaru. It's on
Okay.
attack, pay 1, drop 1, Yoburn.
+1.
Yeah, sorry, Yoburn. It's on attack. Yeah, Yoburn +1. So you actually always get a 1 out of it.
I guess, but you're not running that as like a 4 of. It's
You
like
are.
you just don't like have a
It's
big kill
like a
turn
3 to
like
4
Alice
of.
deck has.
You're probably playing at a 4 of. You don't get a good kill turn, but you are playing more into what Slime was doing anyway, which was heal spam and compress. Right? You are not a kill somebody deck. You are a heal spam compress deck because you play good early plays. You still play the Shion the Shion early play maybe, and you still play the probably do because you have to play yellow.
Well,
But
It's
and then
also
you still
not
play
like
your Shizu early play.
It's also not like your finishing numbers are bad either, and it's all climax
Yeah,
list.
I mean,
Like you're
Musashi-
playing
It's
the
It's
middle
made
clock
better
towards
because
that
you
one as
play
well.
a thick 2, and you play a thick level 2.
You also
you get
have
a Millum clock
you
kick
know,
too. That card's sick.
You also have
one Millum clock kick.
yeah.
available.
Yeah, your finish number is actually pretty good. You're also at level 2. You have a board of like 12-5 hex proofs that basically always have access to a damage change counter. So like it's an
And momentum
incredibly
counter.
difficult board to deal
as
with.
long as that deck is the epitome of as long as it can win on offense, it's insane. I do agree though, Andy. It is not better than Sao. It's Sao is doing what Slime wants to be doing, but at level 1. And that's why
Yeah, and
I
it seems
probably
like
wouldn't
Sao
put it in
has
S
like
tier.
you don't have that drawback of not having a gimped finisher. Like you
Bound
actually
to put
still
it like
have,
here.
like,
I
Yeah, it's probably
agree
top
At
that
the
eight
cutoff.
tier,
I agree that it's not better than Sal, but I also think it's better than every other deck
Well-
in A tier. Which I guess you
Oh,
go up
sure,
at the
I
top
mean-
of A tier, it's fine.
But it's like you do have the same issues of like you are 8 pants. It can be the climax lineup can still be awkward. You don't play any supports for the pants, so like pants are just pants. They just go to die. Fortunately, at least you stock on climax plays, so you don't like bury your climaxes like Kanon can do in a superstar. But you don't have the best top end in the world, but you're still there. And right now, just like with AOT, hexproof isn't relevant. If hexproof was more relevant, it'd be a lot stronger.
Why doesn't that deck just
Um,
run like instead of 8 pants, just run 7 pants and then like one of the doors that you
The
can
one
swap
door's
into?
not worth it.
Or do they not have a swapper?
They do in
Ryan,
Japan
Ryan tried
sometimes.
that. No, they got a new swapper actually. That's actually really good. But they do occasionally. Ryan was playing that for a bit and he did not like it. He liked having the 8th pants. Like he just wanted to make sure that he always had Miran combo. It felt better to him, and he'd rather just hard into Benny Marus and the Milim. It just felt stronger, he said. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, deck's still really good though. Like deck is still really really good. Something it's slime players will be very happy, especially if they like the pants door deck.
Yeah, if you like that like heal spammy kind of deck, you're just getting a buff to it.
Yeah.
All right, 7 Deadly
Yep.
Sins. We want to talk about
Well,
that. The deck that truly does
yeah.
not care about anything except for
Yeah.
the
I
only
do,
card.
I do know about 7 Deadly Sins with the
Sora
Escanor deck.
Sora actually like will fuck this deck up so
Yeah,
much.
they can really
but
only
Sora,
afford
but-
to bounce one lane, and then you get one
No,
of
you
your
have
Escanor.
Nanashi.
Oh wait, oh yeah, that's right.
They have
T1.
Card Titan.
They do
Yeah.
have Card Titan.
So the second they slam Soras, you just slam the card. You slam the Card Titans. You try to like, you try to nuke 2, and then Adachi the other one. So you still get to push damage that turn. And then, as we all know, Sora does not build board very well back once it's answered.
Yeah, once Sora's answered, goes away.
It feels like abysmal, especially if they're playing like the 6 bar or like 8 bar deck. It's a little even harder to.
I have forced my Sora deck opponents to pay 6 to Encore. That
Yeah,
felt really
and then they don't
strong.
even next soul though, so it doesn't even matter. And then you're still sitting on 2 Adachis. It's really funny,
Yeah.
right? Oh, welcome back, Andy. But yeah. See, the whole game like that doesn't even matter that much. Like you have actual native out to that comp like that deck, which is so funny. But yeah, this is just a solitaire deck. You can play one of 2 ways. 4 Elizabeth Climax or 4 Meliodas. Depends what you like. If you like the safer floor, it's Elizabeth.
I think when Sal comes out, you have to go for Elizabeth. Because all they have to do is salvage the memory kick counter. And
Yeah.
Well, we don't play memory kick counter very often. Like
you can. It's not like
technically,
you can't do
I
it.
think it's not that you can't, but I do think if you wanted to play better into the meta, and make sure Alice's get answered the least amount of times possible, you should be playing 2 3K counters instead of the memory kick. But you can play the memory kick for sure. But yeah, you probably do just go back to 4 Elizabeth. It's safer. Meliodas, just so people know, is a 2/1 early plays if you have 4 more dudes. At the end of your at the beginning of the Encore phase, if this is on the board, you sack his stock soul, salvage any 2 dudes. But the problem is, 1 is a 4 more condition. So if they remove any of your other dudes off the board, it doesn't work. And if they memory kick or if they remove him, it doesn't work. So memory kick, etc. He does get 1K power off defensive though if he does stick, which is pretty cool. He goes to like 8K.
Yeah, he doesn't get it on attack, but he does sit bigger cross turn.
So basically, like you salvage counter and make him defendable if you want to. But yeah. So or you get Elizabeth, which is when you play her stock soul, she is a top self salvage brainstorm. And when you play her stock soul, you mill the top card of your deck, salvage anything in your any character in your waiting room equal to the level milled or lower. So it's a 1 card cigarettes, tobacco, whatever you want to call it. And that just becomes like the better floor deck where you just slam every time you have a stock soul, you can just slam it and get cards back. Where Meliodas is more controlled sculpting towards this like nut top end, which is
he just deals damage in once. Is he actually that good?
He's good because of the setup of the double Escanor plus the bouncer is what makes him good.
Escanor as a combo is not that impressive. It's everything around that enables him.
It is better. It's better than Shiki. It's always better than Shiki.
Yeah, because he gets the one extra push to be able to go in an open lane. Because I was definitely a doubter.
Raw better than Shiki. Natively, he is better.
Yeah, he is better. I was a doubter when the card was first revealed because I was definitely like the meme. I was like people who don't know looking at Escanor being hype, and like people who know looking at Shiki and like depressed. But
fine.
As it turns out, Seven Deadly Sins has a lot of support around him, like Ollie said. Like the bouncer, which checks your triggers as well, setting your triggers. Yeah, like honestly, the Gil Thunder bouncer is like literally the card that makes Escanor a card that actually has push. Because without that card, you wouldn't get pushed.
You have stock souls
agnostic to defensive counter.
Yeah, you have stock souls that like have good combos attached to them that you don't feel bad using.
You have that sick 1/0 that makes you always have 2 attackers no matter how bad your hand is.
Actually,
that card is so sleeper sick.
Cards, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that card was dog. It's a 1/0 Meliodas.
I also thought that card was dog shit.
Anything, search a copy of itself, put it on board. While there's 2 or more copies of itself on board, well, there's another copy of itself on board. I guess that's a better way to word it. All the copies of itself get 500 for each other, and on attack, look at top 2, pick your trigger. So that's 6,500 defensive as long as there's another copy. And it got to like push more damage even without a climax or with a climax.
As it turns out,
monkey flip your opponent.
A card that just turns another card into an attacker is pretty good when you literally don't care what cards you field into the front row.
When you're adding
point.
A bunch of garbage to your hand with Elizabeth combo too, it means that your garbage becomes a good attacker and it lets you focus like more priority on the sculpting this like 6-card combo. Also, have you seen the Elaine Brainstorm, Andy? Are you aware of that card?
What the
red Brainstorm?
The red
one.
one.
Elizabeth, Elaine. It is a rest self sack a dude Brainstorm.
It's a check 3 Brainstorm.
Yeah, for every climax, check 3, add 1. So you play like 2 or 3 of that, and it becomes like your deck speed. It converts these shitty zeros, and you put in your hand into better cards to find you your climaxes, move through your deck, etc. It is like so crazy for that deck.
Because if that deck lost like
finding climax,
it's really funny. I look at that Escanor deck and I was like, if there was one card that this deck didn't have, like, I feel like it would almost fall apart. But it thankfully does all exist.
Well, it's just because you can sack the character, save the stock, and like
you save the It lets you loop your combos because if you don't slam in that deck, you're literally not doing anything. You pretty much have to want to slam every single turn. A stock soul, no matter which one that you have.
You just slam.
So it just helps you continue to loop, as well as like it lets you tap down 3 brainstorms a turn in a deck that generates a lot of like excess of stock. If you really had to, you could like brainstorm, like sack another one of your brainstorms of the lane, brainstorm, combo again. Restore your resources, probably go positive on resources even after brainstorming 3 times. It's pretty disgusting in practice. I've been very impressed with that deck. I was definitely a doubter because biases and stuff like that.
It's fun to play too. Like actually,
it's extremely. I think I've played that deck more than any other Weiss deck.
You literally just don't care about anything you sit across from. It has to feel really liberating. I don't have SDS set 2, and now that Escanor is so expensive, I probably never will. Unless somebody wants to.
Not that bad. He's only 15.
Oh, he's only 15. Maybe I'll pick up the stuff.
He's the only expensive card in set 2, by the way. Like everything else is like pretty reasonably priced. But yeah, that card is just so sick with that whole combo. As long as you have the support, and it's like for a solitaire deck. I'm usually not a big fan of these like solitaire decks, right? Like I don't find them very fun to just like drool on yourself till you get the combo. But, like, there's enough thinking sometimes, especially with Meliodas, where you have to, like, plan some turns and it feels a little good. But even, like, you have this Hail Mary, and sometimes, like, Escanor can be... A full Escanor combo can just actually be a reliable Hail Mary from, like, 2-4. It feels, like, really good. Because you're like, because Shiki never puts damage. Shiki was, like, if they're not 3-0, you're not killing them. Like, they're, like, never killing them. But Escanor is, like...
No, I mean, having a stock souls, like, really adds to the finisher, too.
Yeah, check top 3. When you see when you play that deck and you go play the bouncer, look
Play
at
the
top
gill,
3
you
and
open
see
up the
2
lane.
stock souls,
You stack them all
you're
on
just
like
like,
Oh my
golden
god!
lane, yeah.
yeah, when you
look at
see
the
double stock soul, you're
you're
just like, I'm the greatest player
"Sheesh!"
in the world. Prepare to take 11 burn ones, and then still a swing for like, and the fact that Guild Thunder pumped himself a soul means that card is like also modular damage. It can swing for 3, it can swing for 4, it can swing for 1 for level 3. God forbid if the thing's a level 2 or a level 1. It just like that the Guild Thunder also becomes like a really nice flexible damage number that people
Who
don't
the
even think
fuck
about
is
that often.
Escanor? I haven't seen like the second season
He's
of
from
Seven
season
Deadly
2.
Sins
He
or
is
whatever.
he is the
Looks too nice to
Seven
be a
Deadly
bad
Sins
guy.
character.
Oh, he's a
Oh,
good
he's
guy.
a
good guy.
Asshole.
He's a
they're
good
not
guy.
bad guys, right? Like they're not bad guys. But
He's a deadly sin
Um,
trait. He must be good.
yeah,
He's
one of
literally
the he's one of the seven deadly
sins.
sins. He's like the one that you don't see in the first season.
Yeah. He's like the
And
most
he's a
powerful
Chad.
being.
Do you remember the So do you remember that one? Was it Gawain
Gowan,
in
the level 1 Gowan
in
combo?
Fago? Oh, was it Galahad?
Gowan.
Oh, it was Gawain. Okay.
Gowan? I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know how you pronounce
Yeah.
it.
So the level 1 Gawain combo, Andy, that's like when your clock is 3 or more, he gets power. When it's 3 or less, he gets power. But if you're at 3 exactly, he gets like double powered. You remember that card?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Escanor's flavor too. He's strongest when the sun is at its peak.
Okay.
That is his whole gimmick. That's
Yeah.
why his climax is named the Cruel Sun.
I was
whatever.
honestly shocked they didn't give him that profile.
When right, I would have thought. But yeah, when it is the sun is at its peak, he is basically the strongest character in the entire series for that 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He's actually like pretty well written in that regard.
No, he's actually like one of the coolest parts of that series.
It's a shame that series went completely downhill.
Oh, it certainly did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Became-
that deck is so good. That is definitely a deck I am very scared to play against.
It's
like
so scary
solos.
because there's nothing you can do to stop it, no matter what you're
Mhm.
playing. Like if
Yeah,
it kills you, it kills you.
practicing it. He was practicing it while I was practicing Kaguya, and I felt so miserable. I was just like, "Oh fuck, he's 3." And like it was really funny because I didn't really think about it because nobody played it against me before, right? That was like the first time me playing against it. I would always play it, and like I played at a locals the other day, like 2 days before that, and my local was playing Kana Tamarian, and he just like attacked me. He puts me in a 2-5, and he sits there with his second Kanata, and he's just like, I don't want to attack you. I don't want to risk you going to 3.
Yeah.
If you go to 3, I'm pretty sure I just lost because he's at like 3-1. He's like, I just lose.
Yeah.
And then he passes. And then I proceeded to forget to clock, mind you. So I didn't clock. I'm like, oh no, I forgot to clock to 2-6. What do I do now? I mean, I just went play an Escanor 0-0, play the Elaine Brainstorm, sack it,
Sack Desker?
Yeah.
Brainstorm, pay one clock 1 to 2-6, check top 2, add 2 dudes, Brainstorm hit 2. I already drew my choice for turn because I'm a good player. Gas through my deck, find another Escanor, refresh, go to 3-0, and he's just like, this game fucking sucks.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
played Arisu top check, found another Elaine Brainstorm, played the Elaine, hit 2 on Brainstorm again. I'm just like, I'm the fuck.
I've talked about that before. I've talked about this before, but I think the ability for decks to like randomly self-clock
Run through their
themselves
deck
to accelerate
oh,
game
oh.
state is like something that does set these top tier decks apart. These decks at the top tier, even I think Slime can, but I don't know if they can do it as well as these 3. But like I've had absolutely disgusting games with Sal where by leveraging the admin,
play admin.
like I've had games where I draw up at like 2-4 and I go, you're out, time to kill you. And they go, what? And I go like admin, mill through my deck, admin, like immediately send myself to 3. Like
you count your deck, you're like, I can do this. I have a choice in my hand. I got the 1-0 Alex.
Still have enough
I can do
resources to resolve triple Argo. Like absolutely the ridiculous shit these decks can do.
Yeah.
But
And
all
like
right,
with
well
us-
that's good.
I was gonna say one more thing. I know we've been on
Yeah.
this forever, but like, if Escanor is like a top tier, what's like the counterplay to that?
There's not really much. There's quote
kill
unquote
them.
outs to Escanor, but because the bouncer exists, it's really hard to actually make use of those.
I'm not saying like
Yeah,
necessarily an out,
um,
but like, what's your strategy like going into that matchup?
It's like very similar
how
to
do you
TRB.
win?
It's similar to TRB. You have to heal.
Yeah,
Like,
you have to
stay low mid
stay as low in damage as possible because every point of damage matters. every
you have
single
to try
one.
to vibe at low mid 2, push them to 3, and then pray they either try to kill you and fail, or they try to dirtle, they hit you to 3, and then you swing back and you crack back at them. That is actually just the goal. Because it's one of those.
As well.
Yeah, they don't. Or no, they do. They do up to that point because they're slamming stock souls and attacking 3 times, and they're picking their triggers, so they're usually not putting climaxes in there unless they blind it, unless they like randomly hit it, right? So their stock is usually like fairly clean, and they have a lot of good stock outs too. So like they don't keep dirty stock, so it can be compressed. But if they pay out to try to kill you, then they're not. And even then, like if they're 3 and your finisher's a good finisher, like if you're playing Shinano or you're playing Itsuki or Sao, where your finishers are good, you're like, yeah, I can still kill you. It's fine. Even Marine, like Marine's
Yeah,
dirty,
Marine
so.
can still get there. I've played that matchup a couple times.
That is your out. Alternatively, outs are also holding memory kick. Being able to memory kick the 2-1 Meliodas is really strong if they're on that combo. Because then you ruin their selection. You don't have to kick that card specifically. You can just kick any of the dudes in the lanes. You win a single one of those 3 lanes with memory kick counter, and you have stopped that combo from sculpting.
Isn't the Escanor full field too?
Escanor
Yes,
doesn't matter.
yes.
They bounce one of your dudes, right? So if they have 7 stock, they full combo. If they have 6 stock and they have to bounce one of your dudes and you're holding memory kick counter, you can if your Guild Thunder cannot win the lane, you can go ditch one on attack with Guild Thunder, side with Guild Thunder for 1, and then still double Escanor. And you can't stop it.
And that's still like 12 to 13 ping ones.
Yeah, it's still like, well, it's probably closer to 10, 11 really, unless you hit the double stock soul, right? It's only 11 with Escanor if they have double stock soul.
Yeah, just hit the double stock soul.
Yeah, and that's not even counting for like maybe Guild Thunder finds the soul trigger too, and then he can side for 2 versus level 3. So Escanor actually, as long as they have the combo, does not care about memory kick counter at all.
Yeah, as long as they have like a reasonably good game, the counter plays, the outs are limited.
But money counter is actually good. If you have a money counter, not very many sets do. What RWBY, Kaguya does now.
RWBY, Kaguya, Sao.
Oh, no, Nexol also good. Bang Dream, if they can field triple Kasumi down. Oh no, Nexol, yeah, you have the Nexol events. You at least can Nexol one of the lanes. And Escanor getting Nexoled feels really bad. But like we mentioned with Sora too, there is counterplay. It's not some like invincible deck. Obviously, it's also just prone to losing to itself sometimes. If you're on the Meliodas version, really bad openers can like doom you pretty bad. That deck is not very good at playing with like 3 or 4 climaxes in its hand if it's playing Meliodas. If you're playing Liz, you can get away with it a lot more. But because you're probably playing like Ricky and you're playing ways to make sure you have double Elizabeth Brainstorm to just start slamming. But yeah, good deck though. Very, very good deck. Very competitive. Probably going to be one of the best things you can be queuing in solos, and it's probably one of the things you should expect to have on your team for trios if you're trying to really push for a win. I would make sure I'm playing that, especially the whole season, right? So,
Yeah,
if it's legal.
I mean,
I guess there's some reasons where it's not legal, and then you make do.
That's EU diff.
Yeah, EU diff. True.
Weird.
We don't have to worry
legality
about
issues. All right, we can move on through this other stuff. Some of these are a little faster. Fate Grand Order.
Stocks. Sorry. I love Fate Grand Order, but it's like I don't know. I don't think it's good enough. After talking about that other shit, I don't think so.
Is it
even in B tier?
Is the Lion King more appealing than playing SPY?
I think so.
Because
yes,
frankly, I think your top end is better in SPY. I think your level 1 is better in SPY. I think your level 1 in Fago is dog shit. Bedivere sucks.
I think
your level 0 in Fate Go sucks. It is actually worse than
okay. Yeah, you
Funny Girl. The only thing you have is
Lion King. Is the Lion King?
Yeah, is Lion King better than all of Albuta? That is the question.
Arguable.
So probably not.
I played a good bit of Fate Grand Order, and I don't know anything about Albuta, and I think it's worse.
probably pretty close, but I would probably choose to queue Albuta if you were going to make me choose one of those decks.
0 days since.
Oh,
Fate. Carmen, you're the Fate guy here. You chose to play it, right?
it's like right here.
Is it better than Albuta? Is it better than
Yes.
playing Notica plus Mai?
I would rather play Fate than play SPY, but not by much.
Okay.
There are, even with an actual real top end, of which Saber is the only one that is consistent, that does something, it is still not enough to combat literally everything above it, and there's just more stuff above it. Like
2-1 Rider's like not even good enough anymore.
Nope, no, it's not. No, it's not. We can just move on.
It's better than nothing, though.
I don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay, Grisaya. Grisaya is an interesting one. I want to put it somewhere in A. I think this deck's ability to ignore stuff is and having anti-heal is more than enough.
I'm willing to put it above Danmachi.
Well, let's look real quick, right? What decks does healing matter?
Slime.
So Slime.
Slime.
AOT is a stock healer for their main EP.
No, it's
not as much.
No, the
no.
Aaron's a normal here.
The non good one is a is a stock healer. You're right. So maybe AOT if they're playing the choice stuff. It dampers their healing, which is good.
BD, all of the healers in Quince are normal healers.
No, they're not.
Aren't they? Oh no. The ones the stock. The red one's heal to hand. You're right.
Yeah.
Was Asuna stock heal?
Asuna's heal to stock.
Asuna's heal to stock. Yeah.
Diane EP is heal to stock.
Yeah.
And it does hit Escanor, but you don't usually care about healing with Escanor. You're not trying to take another turn.
No, you don't have
Azure Lane is a real healer, but they're not really playing into it super hard. They're kind of just
Hestia's a heal to stock.
Hestia's a stock healer, but the bell that you slam, you try to slam to keep mid game is a real healer. So that kind of matters. That dampers their like ability to heal down in the mid game and like stave off refresh, right?
Yep.
AT is a stock healer. SBY is a stock healer, right? No.
Kaede
is not.
Kaede is a regular healer.
Kaide's not, but the other Mai that you can play is.
The other Mai is. The other Mai is a stock healer.
I think the red pill here is
Lion King sucks.
I think the
probably good enough, but
I was gonna say I don't think the Kazuki anti-heal is like good enough.
Not on its own.
I think it's by itself.
I don't think it's that good. Like having to discard a card, it's not the same as the old anti-heals. Like,
but you're always getting like
you have
two,
to like
right?
pay 2.
I think telling people to ditch 2 is like pretty.
Yeah, you have to resolve.
You have to get 2, and the card's like awkward to get into your memory sometimes.
Well, I mean, you don't do anything else in that deck, right? Like shoving a second one in memory is like you're just gonna do it.
But it's like you have to like spend this stock to do nothing, pretty much.
I think you're more than comfortable spending the stock to do nothing. Like you do a lot of nothing already. That's kind of.
I mean, I guess it depends on the build. I played a lot of Grisaya builds.
I do think when we're entering an Alice like meta, the fact that the bombs is definitely lessened, but I still don't think it's worse than this. I think it's somewhere in here.
I would probably play it over Grisaya. They both have the same shit top end. Or sorry, I probably played over Danmachi. I mean, they both have a shitty top end, but like I think Grisaya's mid game is like
mid game's garbage. Yes.
Well, yeah, they're both garbage, but I mean, it's like
I think I played Danmachi over Grisaya.
I guess it depends what you want between memory and.
Okay, wait. There's a real like tournament consideration with Grisaya though. This deck requires absolutely no thought, whereas Danmachi has a ton of game action.
It's true. Carmen made a flowchart.
I did. Smooth Brain Gang, Grisaya.
Yeah, Danmachi actually requires a lot more thinking because Danmachi is like deck actions during your opponent's turn, and like you're taking actually like.
I might take it over
Yu-Gi-Oh tier turns.
I don't
know. Azure Lane's still just like an anomaly to me, so it's like it's just that deck that's there because it has.
I'll leave it under here because this deck has recent results in a hellish meta.
But
Danmachi has ways to actually like deal with some of the S stuff, right? Like
so. talking
Bell
to
gets
people
really
that have
big. Maybe
queued-
not bigger than Alice on its own, but it's something
Well,
that can
Grisaya has
Alice.
the
But it
tools
doesn't
to
matter.
spin its wheels and
For
not
example,
not give a
Bell
shit
being-
about it.
Bell also being big doesn't matter versus any of these decks in this upper tier. Like literally none of these decks care about the power that Bell is, because none of these decks are pretending to fight you for board.
I'll put it this way: Grisaya is the only deck up here that's not 7 Deadly Sins. Where if every single one of my cards was going upside down, I would feel okay about it. Like,
Yeah, like
it's
Why not just
the
play Seven
only
Deadly
deck.
Sins at that point? If you're just wanting to spin your wheels, then why not play Seven Deadly Sins over?
Well, yeah, but that's
Well,
what I'm
that's not the
saying.
point,
It's
right?
like the point is that this versus Danmachi, it's like, okay, it's it doesn't
if
really
Bell
care.
if Bell goes reversed, you want to kill yourself. If Grisaya gets reversed, you're just shrugging your shoulders and like, yeah, I expected that.
You say, yeah, I
just played down
got
3 2-soul bombs.
I got 6 memory and a full clock, bro. Go ahead. You could swing. You could swing 3 4
you sit there,
3.
you're like,
Yeah.
I
But
did
then
in
you
fact
make the
bomb you
damage
3
anyways.
times.
Which
And
you
then if that
know,
bomb ever lives, you're just like pog. You're like,
that is still a fucking like dicey strategy. The same way playing on your compression with Danmachi is a dicey strategy. Always randomly eat a 4, but conceptually it's still strong.
yeah,
And you
it's,
just swing for 2 every single turn and every lane.
yeah, you know.
Grisaya, which is
Grisaya is definitely
Grisaya doesn't
no
have to hit
fraud deck.
climax. It doesn't have to hit climax every turn like Danmachi, which is a
true.
giant
That
fucking
is
feather in
actually a
its cap.
giant issue with Danmachi that I've
Yeah.
been saying for like forever. Is like,
Yeah, if you don't slam
What
the
do you do
door,
when you
literally
don't?
nothing happens. You literally like just take a fucking gap turn.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
that's
can
like a
see
big
that, yeah.
issue with Danmachi.
We're an hour and a half in. Let's get on. They got a couple more heavy hitters here to talk about. Hololive. Is Hololive
I'm
still
not talking
here?
about that one down there. No,
I don't think.
You think
Hololive
it's
is
up
S
here?
I think
anymore.
it's. I think it's near like
I-
AOT. It's probably better.
Yeah,
I probably.
I think
Is it
it's
better than
better.
AOT?
I think it's better than AOT.
I think it's
Yeah,
better.
probably.
Yeah, it's probably
Probably.
not better than Slime though.
Why is there so much Hololive hate lately?
We don't know. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now before people immediately start typing in the comments. We do not know like the entire set for set 2. We're not gonna rate it based on set 2. We also don't have any results or anything like that. It could very well be up here with set 2, but we don't know that yet. So right now, as it stands, I think it's probably worse than the new slime deck because the new slime deck they power creeped a lot since then. But I think everything after it here is definitely worse than it.
I think that's fine.
How's
Yeah.
it not S when like there's 3 different decks that are like super good in Hololive?
The upcoming meta isn't as conducive to it as you think.
Yeah, like Kanata again has to win on defense or on offense versus decks. It's bad at doing that versus new slime. It's bad at doing that versus Stout. Granted, we can always say the same thing we've always said. Hololive will hit 2 first.
Yeah, but Alice comes down at 1.
But Alice comes down at 1.
Alice can
So-
actually counter over Kanata in any lane. Kind of gross.
There's so many decks
Yeah.
that can answer Kanata now, and then like Choice Door, it's like whatever. It's just a spin your wheels.
Choice Door is
win
just a deck. Yeah, it's just a good deck. It's like fine 1k1
Everyone
deck.
forgot about Rushia too. I don't know, like since like the last time
Rushia-
we've done a tier list, Hololive really I don't think has been out, and it's like over this past year, like there's been like 3 different builds of Hololive that have all been like the deck to beat, and they run completely
So-
different cards, and it's just like crazy that like it had like 3 different big decks, but now none of them are even S tier
Right.
anymore.
To be fair, Rushia was never really like a super big deck to beat. It was like the nobody knows what Hololive does. Therefore, this is probably one of the best decks you can queue at a regional, and that was also before Kanata was like a deck that people knew about really. Like that was still, like,
Kanata
newer
was a
deck.
rare White Schwartz late in the Some Things release
came out
cycle.
super late. Like it had just come out in English.
development.
People are like, "Oh wait, Kanata is like a thing now," and people were like realizing it was a thing at that point when it was releasing. So everybody's like, "Yeah, Rushia. Rushia is just Kanata 1.0, and it steals games the same way Kanata does." But shuffling back people just feels a lot stronger than burning. Obviously, when they hit you with it, and when they don't know what Rushia does, you just lose. But now people are informed. You know, people learn. They learn the hard way to
Watch our tier
play
list.
against Rushia.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. We know Carmen. People watch because Carmen inflated the market on Quince. Thanks, Carmen.
Sorry, I gave alternatives. You don't have to play that card.
Yeah.
You might
But
not even want to
anyhow,
play that
right.
card.
Conda Tamarian is still really good. Conda Tamarian just has a problem in board-based metas where decks can contest it at level 1, aka Sal.
Which is like
Um,
all the top decks now.
It's also really bad at just dying to things like STS.
Oh my god, the Kanatamarian problem.
if-
Like,
You know,
because
if you get
don't
monkey flipped, like
you don't compress on like if you get
the
hit up on
like, 2
first
turns of
deck,
combo.
if you do, because you don't compress on the first 2 turns of combo, you are so susceptible to just eating these giant chunks of damage, and you really don't heal that well. Like, you really don't. It's a stretch to recur the heal. So if you don't get like good cancels on your next deck, and you just like go up to like high 2 or like low 3, your game's over. That's like every game I had in Chicago. You have to run like hot. You have to get those good games, and like I don't know. That's what turned me off Kanata is like you just because you don't compress, you have more of those bad games, even though you're in complete control of the board state back then because nothing could contest you. It doesn't matter if you're in complete control of the game if you're just eating damage, because Weiss is a game where controlling the board doesn't directly convert into being ahead in life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, deck's still good though. I would not blame somebody for queuing it at an event, but it is not in the same position it was in when there was nobody that could contest it when it went to 2 first. Is like the big issue. But for Springfest though, I think it's a bit higher, obviously, because like 3 of these decks don't exist in the format.
Yeah,
well,
quite a few of these
2.5
don't exist.
2.5. 8 Standby Quint is still a real deck, obviously. Because
All right.
I mean, yeah, it's always weird making these tier lists when it's like we want to talk about like the here and now, like what's like the top tier, but then like a few months out when something else comes out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You just have to know 8 Standby Quint is still one of the best decks you can be playing. Carmen probably should have changed the picture for Slime, but he's lazy to make it clear that it's.
Well, I figured they still run that card. It's still the heal spam deck, is what I thought. I thought about making it the 2-1.
It should have been Muron because it prefaces better that this is not the deck that they're playing right now. Because if somebody looks at this and just tries to like look at it, they're gonna be like, Slime, what the heck? And just probably ignore that it's 2023 late season Slime.
Well, they should watch the video or listen to it.
I agree.
All right,
Kaguya.
Probably right here.
I've been thunking about Kaguya for a while now. This is a set that I have been very underwhelmed by for a very long time.
Oh, I know.
But I can now confidently say English is a better format for Kaguya than it is not a Dead in the Water set, which it's crazy. I expected this shit to come out and be like DOA, right?
No, I think it matches up pretty well.
It was JP, right? But
it did okay in JP. It did like very okay.
There are like 2 decks for this set. There's like Pants Door, which is your very normal.
Standby Door. That still saw play. I'm still a believer. I'll stand by it. I think that deck's still good.
All right, 2.5 decks. There's Pants Door, which is the new blue pants combo into the old Kaguya combo. There's a really cool 8-door deck with the level 0, which we were talking about, that is cropping up as an Alice killer.
That's an 8-door. It's door choice.
Oh, it's door choice. It's door choice, not 8-door. Yeah. Brian played 8-door last night. He screwed me up.
Yeah,
I don't choice
think with the 8-door personally, but
no, I don't think it is.
Because you have to give up the Ricky.
Ricky's huge. So they play Ricky choice. It's even better in English because we have K randomly unbanned with the other cards not unbanned. You can play K in this deck, which is really good because you're playing a ton of cards to answer Alice. So you're playing like President. You're playing 4 of the level 2 killer, which you get away with because your combo is a level 0. And then you just use all of Kaguya's really good zeros, and like good 2 to 3, to just win the game. And they have a bunch of like off finishers for that level 0 deck and stuff. The Pants Store deck is just a really good, consistent 1k1 deck that has a really good top end because Kaguya is a really good top end. You're really solid at every level. Nothing wrong with it. It's probably better at being a general 1k1 deck than AOT right now because AOT's niche is not being exploited. Again, we've already talked about, which is why I put it directly above it.
Really good top end. That's always been a good top end.
The thing with it is I don't think it is oppressive in any way. It doesn't have any sort of like oppressive thing.
It has level 0 stock swap.
It does have level 0 stock swap. That is true. Level 0 stock swap's a pretty big one.
And you get money counter.
You get money counter.
If you can choose to pivot one of 2 ways. There's a 2/2 money counter. That's if you ditch an event money counter. and then there's also the 2/1 give something hexproof plus Musashi. I had to make Carmen very sad
By showing
when
me the
Math was
numbers,
posted.
yeah.
Yeah, because I was telling him, I've been questioning to him, like, basically since Kaguya was, like, close to coming out when I decided to pick it up. I'm like, Carmen, is this whole gimmick that you do with the 2/1 Musashi plus double Kaguya, is this actually better
It
than
was
triple
very
Kaguya?
consistent. It felt a lot. It's stronger.
I think you were the only
but
person that actually told me it was more consistent. I think I was talking to other people and they were like complaining about it. They're like, this feels so fucking bad.
That's like less
to, like, have
consistent than
to-
Triple Kaguya too. I'm pretty sure.
It is less interactive than triple Kaguya. I think is the
Well,
big thing. It
it should
requires
be
you to
unique.
play towards it more.
I was also playing
But-
it when Shoku had tap counter and was being
Yeah,
played,
yeah.
and
Right
All Alive
now,
was spamming tap
um,
counter. It's a bit of a different situation here, so
If
losing
we
the
look-
hexproof doesn't matter.
right now, right? Like in this current as of 2/22/2023, with Kaguya having just come out, I think triple Kaguya is better. I don't think any decks right now realistically contest Kaguya, like triple Kaguya combo, except for maybe Quince. But even then you can probably still resolve like reasonably like 1 to 2 Kaguyas, right? Or like 2 to maybe 2
Oh,
Kaguyas,
yeah.
I think is pretty like fair.
Yep.
Like Slime is
So-
probably the only deck that would actually like challenge Kaguya reasonably.
No, I'm talking about right now, like the decks
Oh,
that are
right
out
now?
now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hollow
For
Eye.
Spring
there's
Fest,
not
I
much
would
that
not
can
be
stop you.
surprised to beat Kaguya.
Yeah. I'm talking about like playing money. So right now playing money is probably really good over the Musashi because you can get the Kaguya reverses. And money is good into Escanor. Money is good into Quince. It's really good into Quince. And money is just good into just the general field, right? That are not AOT, basically. Whereas come all the other decks coming out, you might want to look into Musashi more. Because not for the defensive part, but just for the extra reach where you can't really reasonably resolve triple Kaguya. So you'd want to play towards something that is because the numbers were basically the same between double Kaguya plus double of the Musashi event versus triple. It's just one requires more sculpting than the other. So that is like Musashi does require more sculpting because you're sculpting for an extra card in your hand. Usually towards a specific back row to help you, and 2 events in your hand, which does make it a bit more annoying to play, but it is less interactive, therefore it is like safer to play into a general meta where Kaguyas won't get reverses, which is probably pretty reasonable come Slime, Sao. That's really it. Those are the only 2 decks that'll really like stop you, I think. Kanatamarian can potentially stop you, I guess. I don't Kanatamarian's like 12. I don't think Kagi can beat 15 very easily. But yeah, something to think about. I think that deck is like pretty good right now, and I like Door Choice. Door Choice is the Alice killer. I think it's actually pretty good right now too. It's a really good like just one of those like solitaire-esque decks where it just slams dude JC and then just dogs a bunch of cards. I'm still trying to fiddle with it. JP just kind of played it with a bunch of level 3 bodies. Like there's a new Miyuki level 3 that's a healer with experience 6. Pay 2, ditch 2, burn 2. Burn 3, I don't remember. And then you play the Shirogane Clock Kicker that everybody knows. And then you just play the new Chica that's on attack ditch. It's on attack, ditch a character, burn 2 if it's a direct or a side, burn 3, or if it's a front or a side, burn 2. If it's a direct, burn 3. Which is pretty cool, actually. And then I'm fiddling around with it, maybe like trying to play early plays in it, or see if like maybe the Musashi event is good. There's some wiggle room with ways I want to like fiddle with it, but I'm still trying to work that out.
All right, I'm pretty happy with where it
better
is.
than I thought. Yeah, I think it's definitely better than I was giving it credit for.
I win.
Are we still on Kaguya?
Now
Yeah,
we're just finishing up on it.
I was gonna say I had a work call there, but one other question I had about Kaguya was to me it kind of seems like very similar to Danmachi and Grisaya. Like it's like a door pants deck. You kind of just spin your wheels.
It's pants door, sir.
Whatever. They're both the same. But like what sets Kaguya
You have a top end and you have actual early players to be playing into.
You have a good top end. You have a really good top end. You have a decently good mid game. Like President will always be a good card.
Yeah, you have President plus you have the eye.
Decent early plays.
Drawn color for it now.
You have the Hayasaka early play, which has always been good. It was just in a bad color.
Good zeros
And
too.
oh yeah, your zeros are cracked because it's Kaguya.
Well,
Kaguya.
they're not
cracked, but they're definitely better than
they're
Damachi's.
good.
I think
If you were unbanned, as you know, even unbanned, you can't play K-Riki in the pants deck.
Yeah, you can't play K-Riki in the pants deck. You have the I think the new zeros are super comfy. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, the new zeros they are a great asset to that deck. But what you do get, Andy, is you get a defendable level 1 combo. Your level 1 is 4/5 base, right? 4/5 base.
4/5 base gains 2k when you play the torch.
Yeah, when you play the torch, it gets 2k power. When you play any event, it gets 2k power. Then because torch is a counter, it's a defensive 6/5.
65, yeah.
And if you play the event, if you play the 1/1 back, me and Carmen are both testing. I think it's like a 1/1.
Oh, that card's staying. I need to get my hands on an actual copy of it.
Yeah, that card's actually like really good. I think the card was like a really good tech because it's a pants support. It has the same Chica Brainstorm effect of when you play an event draw drop. So
it gives you the same good numbers.
Turn, you can draw drop without having double Brainstorm on the floor, which I think is like sick. And it makes sure Kaguya's defensively 7k, offensively 8. Where we already know 8's like a really good number for a level 1 combo to be offensive. And defensive 7/5 means the combo will like, or defensive 7 means that combo will actually just survive first things like way more than.
It's also like it has the same. It gives you the exact same good power lines at 2 that the 1/1 Resonator gave you. Like, but you still have like a 15/5 President, which is effectively unkillable when you slam him. Makes your eyes 11/5 before you play any buffs or do anything. Like you still have the the Hayasaka drop surge pumping like random power throughout the game. You loop combo pretty well. The pants is actually so good for Kaguya because you have such bad climax access in Kaguya. You always have
being able to find your door level 3 was always like a tragedy. The pants just means like
you can grip it more reliably, like in more games.
And you spend less stock too because you don't have to like spam your spammable anymore to get stock like Standby did.
Oh my god, the stock charger for that deck is so good too.
Yeah, not even having stock charger, right? Just playing the game naturally with just like
without having to spam all the time
with the event means that like you just have more actual stock, which means slamming down triple Kaguya with 7 stock is real. Where 8 Standby, you almost never had triple 7 stock, right? Because you're like, oh well, I can cheat because I can have like 5 or 6 and I can stand by a Kaguya and then it doesn't matter. That way I can afford to play these Shiroganes. You can actually EP in that deck and still reasonably have 7 stocks to slam triple, which feels really good. I think it's just if you're gonna choose between one of those 3 decks, just play fucking Kaguya. The only thing restricting you from Kaguya is it's ridiculously expensive.
Right now, yeah.
It is it's probably going to be forever. As long as playing set 1 cards, it's
the set 1 cards are gross, right?
Andy, so I sold my Kaguya. Yeah, I sold my local the Kaguya playset I got off Carmen, right? Because like I was pretty doomer on it after it got restricted and he wanted it. It was still pretty expensive, so I was like, sure, whatever. And like that was like post set 2, and I was like very underwhelmed by set 2. I'm like, yeah, sure, just take it, dude, whatever. And now I'm seeing it again. I'm thinking about it. I'm really down on playing AOT. I mostly picked it up because Ryan was gonna play AOT, and I'm so down on AOT right now that I would rather him play STS and me play Kaguya. So I did the same thing. I did the same thing with Bang Dream actually, and that's I like got really down on something. I'm like, I'm just gonna play Bang Dream, whatever. But I picked up Kaguya, and it costed me like 200 something, not even for the playset of set 1, just for all the relevant cards. It was like 3/2.
Yeah, I've like TCG pulled up here. Like the finisher's like 20 bucks. The Ricky's like
okay, well, you don't need the Ricky. I entered buying the Rickies. But unfortunately, building level 0 deck that plays the Ricky, so it doesn't feel as bad. But yeah, that card does not need to be bought.
Oh wait, hold on. It looks like stuff's being like price gouged right now. I'm pulling up like the 1 card. Okay, yeah, okay. Like the last sold listing versus the current listing. Like the Miyuki, the level 3, there's like
EP?
1 seller for $30. Yeah.
If you go on, I'm just gonna tell people that watch this video, if you're interested in Kaguya, go to Strictly Broken. They actually have like really good prices for a lot of these cards. Still. I believe they were still in stock when I last looked.
Yeah, for the older stuff. The new stuff is sold out. I'm looking right now.
Yeah, big recommend. Look at the old stuff there. I think they might still be there.
With
I hope.
on SBTCG.
Yeah,
The new stuff
there
on
last time I
SBGCG
looked.
is gone. There's
The new
nothing.
What about the
Okay,
old stuff?
I was
I'm
on
talking about the old
TCG
stuff.
today looking at this stuff. On TCG, you can get the new stuff. So like, get the new stuff on TCG,
Well, you
get
can,
the old
not
stuff
the
on.
EP though.
Huh?
But yeah, like some of the old stuff, like
Get the old stuff from
like
SBTCG.
Shirogane's 3/2s are still $8.
Get that shit, yeah.
Mind you, crazy that these cards are rare, right? He's a double R. He's a double R. Okay, that's not that bad. He is a double R. KEPs, I think we're KEPs on a TCG player were like $9. They're $4 on Strictly. A couple cards, you know, it's 50-50. Like the IEPs were way cheaper on TCG player because you know, Strictly they knew what was coming up, so they kind of like price spec the they price spec like the IEP because they knew that card was relevant. But there's still most of the cards are still very affordable and in stock at a high quantity. So definitely, if you want it, pick those up there and then just look for the new stuff. But yeah,
All right.
that's
But
good. That's really
the
fun.
early play?
Yeah, IEPs are $6 on Strictly right now. But I think
They're
I
they're
bought
like $1 on TCG. If there's a
yeah, that's
million
what I
in
was saying.
stock.
Like
Yeah.
there's like 50-50, like not 50-50. It's like I bought it all recently, right? I bought I think like 30% of it off TCG player, and then I bought the rest of it on Strictly.
That's how it
and
is
it
with
came out
lights. You gotta
cheaper.
shop around. Those are like the two big sellers. You have TCG and then
Yeah, you just
Strictly
you just go
Broken.
between them, and you just kind of make 2 orders and just pick the best prices from each of them because they
Pretty
both
much,
offer
yeah.
good prices on different cards. But yeah, so if you want Kaguya, do that. That's fun. It's just a little expensive. It's one on the more expensive side compared to what Danmachi's super dirt still. Grisaya is probably gonna be okay, maybe gonna be dirt, right? Because we'll see how much people really want it. I know Grisaya is not super popular in the West, but the people that like it really do like it. And
Yeah.
I think the
I
foils
really
look
like it,
nice.
Jason. I really like it.
I do really like it too. I'm a big Grisaya fan.
Yeah, he maxed it. Came out.
I did, and then I had to sell it
JP.
because of financial issues, and I was very upset. Still upset, actually, because I could have had it still maxed because you barely updated any cards. You added like 2 more foils to the deck. Very tragic.
Yeah.
All right,
But
we can move on here. Dragon made it's
high B.
Is it high B?
I think it's like C.
I think it's C tier.
No, I think you have to respect 8 bar is a great tournament deck. I think in that also one of those decks that is it's low cost, dude.
That's the one that's
I
been
don't
really
love that
succeeding
deck.
with Made
Yes,
Dragon.
that's the one. That is the one that is the deck that Japan has played for Made Dragon. That is the only Made Dragon deck that has seen success.
I hate that Elo.
It's seen some success in English too, and like the looking at Taya's dumps on Weiss Tea Time.
Yeah, I don't love it, but it is a great tournament deck in that you don't think, you just slam. Right? I don't think you don't have to put a high B tier. You can put it like mid B tier. I think it's probably around there. I'd probably choose to play KMD over Fate, just for what that's worth.
I'd play KMD over Fate.
I think you have better cards at every level than Fate does. Except your early plays. Your early plays still suck, but you're not playing KMD for the early plays. Maybe even better than SBY. I don't know about Fate. I don't play Fate, but
I don't think Fate's even B tier. I think it's like
Fate's
C tier somewhere.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think like decks
probably
just fine.
Probably below
it's
Fate.
Super inoffensive, right? Like it has enough good cards to be fine. Either will just kill people. You don't think. You just slam your cards. My locals been playing this fucking deck. It's the Army Toru, right? As their level 1 with the 2/1 Toru combo into the 3/2 Toru. So they just go play these because the army cards have a soul trigger. So they actually are just playing monkey flip KMD, where they're just going play dudes, try to wall. If they wall sick, play their 2/1 Toru and just start like free 1k1ing you. Or like 2-souling you. It's really obnoxious, actually. It's just like they just wanted to play monkey flip, and again, no, it worked better than I thought it would. But I still probably wouldn't play that over like 8-bar in an event. I think that deck's good. I think it's like okay, not good. It's fine.
I had such a converse experience with Blue. I hate that card requires you to pay up front. I mean,
that is frustrating. But
I
again,
think
you don't think with the deck though, right? You just slam the cards. You just
Why not just play Bard choice and have the
You could.
Taurus?
or
You can play
8
Bard choice
choice.
too.
I love 8
You
choice.
can, like you can do it a lot of ways, right? Like it doesn't. That's the point. It doesn't really matter. It's just like 8-bar is the one that's had the most success, and I do think
it
8-bar
does
is
have
the
like
thought
decent card
oriented.
quality at its level.
It's fine. Like the deck is fine.
Fine.
Like we were doomer and like shitting on it before, but in reality, it's like. It's
Oh, I never really truly doomer Dragon Maid. Like I just think the things that people like about it are the bad parts. I think the resonator stuff sucks. Which was always my sticking point with it. And the second you cut the resonator stuff, whether that's playing the bar stuff or playing like just a good stuff deck, the set actually starts to work a lot better. But I guess it doesn't matter how you do it. I hate playing on a -1 card hand in a set that doesn't sculpt well. Really cool.
Yeah.
All right,
But
let's get this fucking one
I
out of the way.
Okay, let me say
F
my.
tier.
I'm the only one who likes this, so let me say where I think it should go.
C tier.
I think it should go right underneath Fate, above Mage Dragon.
Shut
That's where
the
I'd
fuck
put it.
up.
No,
No, that's where I'd put it.
it
I
has to go under
Hate
FGO.
this deck.
'Cause
Really?
it's worse
Under
than
FGO?
FGO.
Chica-Yo is better than Lion King.
I think it's literally worse than the Beaufree anti-standby
Okay,
deck.
no. So realistically, right? I think, SDS, SDS, LSS, whatever it is Chica-Yo is better than Lion King, but I think
I'll be honest with you. I think the rest of the deck sucks. I think Sunshine
does suck.
sucks ass pretty much, except for like the Chica-Yo, which is still the best thing ever.
Just put those two decks next to each other or something. They're basically the same fucking deck. They both suck.
I hate it. I hate it.
I hate it.
hate
I don't even want to talk
Sunshine.
about it.
Okay, every
wanna
time
win-
I sit across from Sunshine, dude,
you
literally
just like,
since
do I lose?
in Weiss's monitor, no. You know what I think, Jason? Even when I sat
What?
down in New York playing fucking Fate, I literally,
Like,
my
face my
opponent
life.
draws up, and I see them mulligan. I go second. I see them mulligan.
Select
Love Live
Tri-Field.
Sunshine cards. I breathe a sigh of relief, and I think I audibly said, "Thank God, free win." Like, and I played it off
God.
jokingly, but I did think that unironically. Sorry, my
But
opponent
it
in
wasn't
New
a
York.
joke. Yeah, I don't know.
His
like,
deck was maxed.
so-
He was not playing it because he was playing it because he loves the idol. Mad respect,
So,
but I
like-
think the deck's garbage.
I think it's a deck that you can still just lose to.
Yeah,
It never feels
it can
good.
beat anybody.
Right.
It can beat anyone. Any White
It
Schwartz
will-
deck can beat
sometimes
anybody.
that deck will just that sometimes Chica-Yo is good enough that it will just kill you when it shouldn't. And that's really frustrating. But other than that, yeah, I think that deck is basically like you just fucking monkey flip this deck and they're just gonna lose. Like if you push them, they just lose. They're just like I don't know how to play the game anymore. You've punted me. God forbid you're playing a deck that slams like EPs or something too, and they're like, oh no. Oh no.
All right,
Chica-Yo is
Mishoku.
so good. I don't care if you put it top of C, but then
Chica-Yo is good. Chica-Yo
Lion
will
King,
always be good.
Lion King has to go top of C too. Then
It's on a ban list for a reason.
Mishoku.
I don't think Lion King's better than.
Please, no more Sunshine talk.
Love.
Deck sucks.
Okay, we started talking at the same time. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mushoku.
Deck's actually still putting up results. I gotta bring it up.
Probably high B, low A.
Yeah. You think so? I think it's low A. I don't think we can deny that this deck continues to put up results, even post-ban.
I mean, it just gets worse the better decks are at being offensive. If you don't pick Ghislaine, now like more decks can slowly start killing your Erises, which feels really bad. If you play Ghislaine, then you're not defensive and you just die to decks because you don't compress very well.
I'm down to make Mishoku the cutoff between A and B.
Like,
I think that's
it's
where
like-
it stays.
the best traditional standby deck, right?
Yes, it is.
Because
I
these
agree.
other two decks aren't traditional standby decks.
Nope.
So if you want to play the traditional,
Wait,
like
what's
the
the other
true
standby
traditional
deck?
standby
Oh,
deck.
Dow. Yeah. Dow.
I was thinking Azure Lane.
Oh, I look at Azure. I still think.
I guess
it's
all three of them are like. I guess okay. Quince is the closest to a traditional standby. We actually had this discussion today, where I think Quince does play traditionally, but in a slightly different vein because it's weak on defense. But like it's still doing the standby thing. It's just better Mushoku come movie.
Yep.
But yeah, maybe it's like low A or like low bottom of A, high B. It's like somewhere in there. I don't really care where you put it, but
Yep.
I guess
you can
I
still
have
lose that
like
deck.
one.
It can still do its things.
I have like
Mhm.
one question with that though. Like when I was mentioning earlier about like Quince and Sao like dealing with 8 standby decks, Mushoku was the one I was thinking about. That this is the deck that sets up like the biggest, strongest boards. Is it just not good enough against Quince and Sao?
Quince busts it down. It's not big enough for Quince and Sal to bust down. They run it over actually. Harris's is like 8 counter to 10. Sal and
Ours is 8-5 counter to it's 8-5 right?
8-5.
They're 7K right? Are they 7K
No, they're
base? I forget.
7-5.
They're 7-5. Yeah,
They
it's
counted
8-5
to
counter to 5. Alice is 11 before climax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Offensively, they can crack over.
I think running the Ghislaine's like actually kind of pointless nowadays. You might as well just play the tap counter.
I think because you don't have a good way to stabilize the game at 2 other than canceling, that if you're playing the Ghislaine, you just better pray you cancel. But I don't know. I'm grossly unlucky all the time and eat damage all the time. So that clouds my judgment sometimes.
Maybe I'm just looking at it from like a board perspective, but it just seems like if the entire format's based around, like if it's predicated around having the strongest board from like whatever Quince or Sao is swinging at you, then if something can crest that and like set up like a really big board of 2/2s, that'd probably be really good. And I don't know, maybe Mushoku's not it anymore, but
It's not.
Mushoku's advantage was never like its level 2 board though. It was how big its level 1 game was, and that level 1 game just isn't good enough anymore.
Yeah, because it gets run over by Quince and Alice. All right, moving on. Review. Review's probably here.
Who cares tier?
Probably somewhere. It's better than GGO. It's probably around Madoka. It's probably worse than Madoka. At least Madoka can spin its wheels out. Anybody care about that?
Not really.
No.
not really,
No.
but I think the one thing Review has is the like I've been saying it forever, but the Kawariko 2/1 assist, the one that lets you mess with your opponent's clock during their main phase. It lets you like if it's on your field at the start of their main phase, you can.
Oh,
send
it
top part of
removes
their
clock conditions. It's like
So-
what is that
yeah, so-
target right now?
Yeah, so I don't know what it targets right now, but like at some point going forward,
Sunshine.
if that ever becomes like
Sunshine,
a big
yeah.
deal,
That's what it targeted back then. Yeah, I don't think anything right now cares about that, but if it ever does, that card does exist.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like right now, it's not great, but I think that's like the niche they can fill maybe someday if that like starts to become if the top deck has to do with that. Let's say.
Maybe one day.
Ruby's like right here. I think it's better than Adventure Time.
Like top of B tier.
It's like Ruby was so good when it came out. It answered exactly what it had to do, and it actually made people think. I'm very happy with doing that. But it isn't. It's still fine. It's just not doing. Ruby level 3 isn't answering anything anymore because defensive counter is mostly out of the meta, and as Tamarian becomes a worse pick, and these other decks aren't playing defensive counters, it becomes even less of a draw, which means that like you're back in the situation is like, do I play this standby that doesn't do a lot of things, or do I play this Cinder that like gets really big but like also can just randomly get fucked? And you know you have a targeting money counter and stuff like that, but it's still a totally fine deck. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Deck's still fine, and it's a very good, solid English original.
Yeah,
Didn't
I think
quite
it's something
reach
that, like,
the
will
heights
come
of
and
Seven
go.
Deadly Sins. Hope they
It's
get a
something that's,
second.
like, it's a good anti-meta deck, at least with the RWBY finisher. Like, if 8 standby is ever like really oppressive, or if you just want
Defensive
an answer
counters.
to their field without having to deal with their counters, but that's not it right now.
SHS with set 2. Where does it go?
I think it's in the same spot as like RWBY and AT. Like
You
top
think
of
so?
tier. Yeah.
I guess with
I
Sal,
don't think Psychono's good enough anymore.
Psychono, when Alice is coming, is a rough. I remember putting Shiroha in front of fucking like Psychono back in the day, and they had trouble with that unless your name is Kit King and you trigger one of the like 8 soul triggers on every twin drive on your side attack. That deck really doesn't run that many soul triggers. But it was still really rough for most non-Kit King Psychono players.
And we talked about this before. Like the anti-salvage is like the other like boon of Psychono. It doesn't do anything right now. All these decks salvage either
Climax
outside of
phase.
the attack step or their fucking standby decks.
Even 8-door Eatski generally generates its hand from its combo, which rips off top of deck. You're not even targeting that. I do think it's better than B. I think it's somewhere in A. I think it's somewhere around here. Because if we're saying that like Grisaya and Danmachi for ignoring things and spinning their wheels can be good, I think Psychono also has to be patient.
What's Psychono's finisher?
I
Is
think
it just
Psychono has
Icy
to
Tail
care a
still,
little
or
bit more.
It's hexproof, on attack, pay 1, or on reverse, pay 1, drop 1, burn 2, and it's hexproof, 11/5, no backup.
Yeah, it has a
you have the memory
it's a
conditions.
Yu-Gi-Oh card. It just has a ton of effects.
Yeah, if you have
My
4
knee
memory,
jerk
it's
was
11/5
honestly to put it
hexproof.
here, but I think that's too high.
I think
Go
you're
back.
coping if putting it that high.
I think it might be.
I think people
I
are
don't
underrating
care.
Bang Dream a lot. Bang Dream's always like
Underrating.
people
It's so
think.
high up.
It's pretty high up.
It's like in the higher part of A tier.
I don't think Psychono's above Bang Dream.
I do.
Really?
I mean, as
I don't know,
someone who's played a lot of both.
The way you described 8-door Bang Dream to me, it sounds a lot more appealing than Psychono.
I think it's probably I think it's better than all these Spin Wheels decks.
Even with just the second set?
Oh yeah, the second set is what makes it broken. The third set adds barely anything. Does anybody hate this? I think if we're gonna say Grisaya and Danmachi can do it, then Psychono has to be. All right, last one, the hardest one, TRV.
It's probably A tier, right?
It's probably A tier.
It's like A tier because it's a solitaire toxic deck. It's super doesn't give a shit about like anything. It only gives a shit about decks that can beat it defensively, which funnily enough, Kagi is really annoying. STS is really annoying.
The problem with Tokyo
Val, obviously Alice. Obviously Quince.
That's a given.
Tokyo Avengers loses it to itself so hard sometimes.
You know, if Kaguya is gonna come back and Slime is gonna come back, and these other decks give you trouble at 1, and Hololive is still a deck that people might play, would you ever bring TRV?
I mean, some people just really like it, right? Some people like Pochin and stuff.
Pochin seems like a draw. Like if everything's like board based, then he's the ultimate card there.
I agree it's somewhere in here.
If they do sack Pochins, it probably makes things a little annoying for Alice.
But just like the conventional game plan of like play 2 dual laners, make a bunch of stock, and then pop off, probably isn't great into like if everyone's playing like 2-1 combos like Sao and Slime.
It's just an extremely hard deck to rate.
It's somewhere in here.
Because it's like it's always playable, and if it does its thing, it's always strong. It just has to be allowed to do its thing.
Yeah,
It's
my
probably
problem
like
is the
I'd probably
TRV's
just put it
biggest
lower
issue
than
is
BD, but it's like it's all realistically all these decks. I think like Slime is like a chunk of its own. Then it's like Hololive and Kaguya, and then it's like AOT and the rest. Maybe like AOT BD. The
I'm doing
TRV,
this
the
to
rest.
make it
I'm not
look
really
nice.
sure, but cleaner, sure. I'm down. I
Yeah.
like straight lines.
Straight lines.
same.
Maybe we change the F tier. What's
Yeah,
even more
put
outdated?
Put Fairy Tail in F tier.
No.
I don't know. Even though I'm like a big fan of Tokyo Revengers, just
I
that
think-
style of deck where it's like you either do your thing or you lose, sort of thing.
I think Batman's
That
worse
seems
than
kind of
both
like a
those
B
decks.
tier to me, like maybe like a top of B tier sort of thing. If it has like that many bad matchups, but
Sure, that's fine.
I mean, it is pretty good though.
Whatever.
care
Whatever,
what
I mean,
you
I don't
want.
care. Do whatever you want with the effing undecided.
Yeah,
I don't give a
Okay,
shit.
you give me 20 minutes and I'll organize these garbage tiers.
Probably.
Yeah, he'll make a perfect
Kill a-
square out of this.
Kill a
tier
Kill
list.
is still
All
actually
these squares make
Kill
a
a Kill.
circle.
Kill a Kill is actually still so bad. You know what? No, Kill a Kill is actually even with power up. Or he's the only one. Okay. I think it's done.
No tier list has ever been more right.
Right here. There it is. Share it with all your friends. It's always a grind. It's always a 2-hour video every time we do it. But I'm actually pretty happy with it. I think this looks pretty good. I think that this middle to end of A tier could it can really shuffle from AOT to DDM. I don't think the ordering matters there too much. I'm pretty confident in the ordering, the rest of it that we did. I think this is pretty accurate. I think the S tier, it's 5HY Sal, SDS, it just stands above everything below it because it just doesn't give a shit. I don't think it's as oppressive as Sal and Quince, though.
At least as of recording this video, I think the one big thing that could change in the next year with this tier list would be Hololive because we don't know all the cards for it yet.
Yeah,
Hey,
we
no,
don't know.
all
We don't know
Hololive
anything
is-
yet.
And that's not, and they have a track record. The original Hololive, it was just straight bangers. The entire set was good.
Wait, so we say
They're gonna-
kind of toxic.
They're
Yeah,
gonna print
actually.
something good for that set, so I could see that going up or down.
I mean, yeah, like
Oh, we
Jason
got
said,
something.
Probably up maybe. but who knows?
Squeeze is already toxic.
Well, the set can't get worse.
Yeah. Okay, so Andy, I don't know if I guess you didn't see it. So they printed an EP level 3 combo, right? It is the EP is all for level 0. I forgot what the cost was. So it doesn't matter, right? It was
I'm
reasonable.
scrolling up while you talk.
It is when you play the climax or on attack, you can either pay 1, drop 1, burn 2, or you can dress up Nagato their board. So you scoop up their whole board, send it to memory, and then play it back
I
however
love
you
that
want.
card. Yeah, he told me about this one. Wait,
Yeah,
that's
it
a
was like
combo.
they printed
It's
prim and
super
proper
fucking-
Nagato.
Yeah, it's a combo, but it's level. You can do it at 2, and it costs nothing to do. It's
Yeah, it's
super
free.
fucking toxic because it does the same. It's the same shit that Overlord and these things are doing that I hate. That it is, you're just telling people once I hit level 2, kiss your fucking back row goodbye, idiot. Because you're just gonna scoop up their board. You're gonna slam your back rows into the front row. Say you can keep your other dudes. They don't really matter to me, and they're just gonna kill your back row and just try to starve you out of resources for the rest of the game. Because then it's gonna be harder for you to probably kill their CSAs. They're gonna protect it because they're never gonna burn you, right? Or maybe they'll burn you with one of them and they'll rearrange with the other. It's
Yeah, you
it's
can
just
play
so
multiple
stupid.
pretty easily.
you can actually go. Is there any way to do it? No, there's no real way to do it really stupidly, but where you can rearrange and then rearrange and then rearrange or something. But you just go kill their dude. Actually, no, you don't want to ever do that because they'll go to memory and come back. So you never would do that.
But
But yeah, you'll
we've
go,
also
play 1, rearrange, burn. It's just
when you
not
play
fun.
that kind of strategy in Hololive too. Hololive has these cards like the Toa that hooks your back row. Where you're deleting cards off your opponent's field that they shouldn't delete. You win a single lane on defense, you start hooking up their back, whatever cards that you ever try to save and recur, they just start grinding it in. That's what Kaneda would do in long games. It would just grind you out of garbage, and the Suisei just grinds you out even easier because it just Nagato's your But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure Hololive will move up, probably to the S tier, based on their track record.
I think the other one thing to look out for, like, because again, this is gonna be our tier list for the year. Between now and like 2024, I think the other deck that could maybe move up a lot would be Overlord if we get it in English.
Oh yeah, I mean if
Which
Ainz
I think
comes
we're gonna
out,
get it at some point, but Overlord goes from being like a garbage deck to being like really fucking good.
Don't worry,
goes
I'm
to
sure
being S
Carmen will
tier.
make sure you guys put a video.
Yeah, if
out
there's
on
Ainz, we will be talking about Ainz. But I am the monkey with the hands over his eyes until Ainz comes to.
Yep.
Ainz is the most toxic fucking card they've ever printed. I love a card that has 10 lines of text, 8 effects,
and all just says,
unanswerable, and it says you can't play the game. Fuck you. Only I can have fun. Like literally, even more toxic than TRV. I hate Ainz.
Bro, just anti-change counter him.
Yeah, you better have a 1-0 anti-change counter that doesn't send a clock. They clock themselves to 2-0. Which, how many are there in English? TRV?
Konosuba.
No, Konosuba sends a waiting room.
Yeah.
They can, but then they can just side your level 1s. So, have fun.
Yeah, it's just not fun.
Yeah, Ainz is like the worst design card ever. In fact, so much so that if they bring Overlord 2 to English, I want them to version each set and just remove Ainz from it.
You don't mean that.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. You'd
Yes,
rather
I
them
do.
just print it and ban it.
Nope.
I'd rather they print it ban it.
I think it'd be.
Play it.
I think it'd be more interesting if they version eat it. But
Yeah. That shit's so gross.
Right? I want to play it, but like at the same time, I just acknowledge how fucking toxic that card is, and if it just disappeared, I also just wouldn't complain.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
like whatever. I just play 8 standby because I actually really like 8 standby Overlord.
8 standby Overlord is
I
fine.
hate the concept of version E. I'd rather them just like print the card and immediately ban it.
Well, they won't do that.
Don't change things. Don't errata things. Just like ban it after the fact.
But it makes it more interesting, I think.
Yeah, give me back my pre-errata Ancient Fairy Dragon.
If they can version E something properly and not Nisekoi it, where they just actually neuter it, I think version E's are interesting.
A version E for Ainz would Ainz only. Just the 1/1 in the change those cards.
It just doesn't get shoot your board effect. It gets something else instead. It's fine.
Yeah. The fact that it's so dumb on top of everything else. Alright. I think that's it. We've been here quite a while. Ollie, Jason, you guys got any shout-outs?
Shout out to Strictly Broken. That's my
Ditto.
Going there to buy Escanor after I hit stop recording. Because I've been putting that off and now I'm being punished. But it is what it is. They do have infinite of all the cards. Can't buy it.
Yeah.
It just comes out of nowhere.
Can't buy Kaguya though. Gotta wait for people to stop gouging.
Oh, you can.
Set 2.
You can buy set 1 Kaguya.
You can buy set 1 Kaguya. You can't buy set 2 Kaguya.
I just bought all my set 2 Kaguya stuff.
Wow, that's why there's.
Wait, set 2's cheap, right? I thought it was set 1.
No.
Set 2's also expensive.
Set 2's also expensive.
Set 2 got randomly bought out like within the first few days of release.
Got punished on that one too. I have it in JP, so I can still play it. But if I wanted to play it in a tournament, I have to beg Brian to borrow it because he's the only one who got a play set of set. Upcoming content before we close out.
Yeah.
Parter's Custom Corner coming up. Still making those. Send them to you when they're done.
This man's pumping.
I really need to get a consistent day to upload those. I'm going to try to make it Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how long set reviews are. Some of them are 3 colors, some of them are 4 colors. Obviously, makes it difficult. Sometimes they combine a color, sometimes he doesn't. Depends on how many cards are in the set. The fact that they're custom cards means that the set counts are not always consistent. So it has been hard to get a consistent day to start those so that they don't overlap with our Friday content. There's still more set reviews that we have to do because they keep announcing sets. But we're gonna get through those. More deck techs and stuff. We're gonna save a lot of people have asked.
You did, right?
I don't think we did a Kaguya set. Because right when I was thinking of doing them when they came out in JP, Simu was putting out like one Kaguya video a day. So I was just like,
I remember.
These are close enough to the things I would make. I'll just let him do it. His videos are good. Oh, I just let Simu take those.
Fair enough.
Over on Tressa's and his own channel. But I'm sure when things come out, people are asking like, "Where's the Alice deck? Where's this?" You guys are talking about it. We usually save those for when the sets come out. So when the sets come out, look for because we like doing those. Everybody in the group builds a deck, the multi-deck techs. Want to get back to doing. Definitely keep a lookout for that stuff. Andy, you've been away for a while. You got anything to say? You might be in Toronto, right?
Maybe.
Well,
I'm not exactly sure yet. Depends what I can do with my work schedule.
And Andy in Toronto? Oh my god.
Maybe, yeah. What do you think I'm going to play?
I don't know.
Go on,
Maybe.
guess. Tell me. What do you think?
Sunshine? TRV?
Movie.
Sunshine's like it was a consideration, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to
Is it
spoil it
not-
if I do end up going.
Is it not
But-
Ruby? What the fuck? You just asked us to guess, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, Mom."
No.
Say though.
No, it's
doesn't
not
wanna
Ruby.
reveal
It's
it.
not Ruby either. I wouldn't play Ruby right now.
AOT, AT, Adventure Time. We love.
Anyway,
right?
anyway.
He stalled. We figured it
Maybe
out.
catch me on Paru's Custom Corner. I hear there's a No Game No Life 0.
Oh yeah.
Custom
That
set,
coming
yeah.
up. I gotta work with Paru and figure out a day to record that, but
Yeah, that should be
keep
a
an eye out
fun
for
one.
that. Yeah.
All the cards to save Andy's favorite set.
Hopefully, Bushy Road. Who's the guy on Twitter? Bushy Road Steve. What's his name? I don't know.
Who's you, Matt?
Bushiroad Matt.
Bushy Matt.
Bushy Road Matt. You should watch that one.
Yeah.
I
They
will
do
be in
steal all of our
Toronto.
custom cards.
So will Tanner, Brian, and Tyler.
Yeah, I've
Their
heard
team
Carmen
is
and-
going.
Herman and Paru mauled about that enough. They've stolen
What?
my custom card.
Oh, the custom card. Yeah. So we'll be there. I'll be playing with Burn One. They'll be playing on their Pittsburgh team. We'll have the shirts
Yeah.
on.
Big,
You can find
big
us.
Pittsburgh guy, by the way.
We love meeting everybody. Definitely. Ranger. And with that,
See you
Pittsburgh
soon,
White
man.
Schwartz signing off. We will see you all in the next one.